Hello.
There it
Welcome,
is.
agents. There he is. What? Some magic going on here. Welcome, agents, to strain 77-SAS of the 0 Point Report, the #1 broadcast all about the news surrounding the Secret World IP. Today is Thursday, April 13th, 2023, and I am Ocho, one of the hosts for this evening. With me tonight, we have Two-Ton Waffle.
Morning.
Morning, sir. We have
Good
Jimmy the
morning.
Rabbit.
Hi.
Hey, Jimmy. We have Brandon Verhalen.
Greetings from my blank screen.
Nice. We have Ross Watson.
Hello.
Ross, I'm so glad you could join us. And we have Joshua Doetsch, Scribnomancer.
Hiya, Chuck.
We have quite the crew joining us on today's show. Welcome all. We are joined by Star Anvil Studios founder and CEO Brandon Verhalen, Star Anvil Studios COO Ross Watson, and Star Anvil Studios Secret World RPG Loremaster Joshua Doetsch. How is everybody? How is everybody doing this fine evening?
Doing good now that we're all here.
Fantastic.
Yes, right.
Gang's all here. It's all good.
We had a little bit of a snafu trying to get all the tech working, but by magic, we suddenly do have all the tech working. I didn't think Ross was going to join us. We thought Ross was just going to be like he was sacrificing himself for the good of the crew here.
He volunteered as tribute.
Yeah, and suddenly he's here. This is amazing. So welcome everybody. Yes, this is a show that we do. We try to do every couple of weeks. All about the news surrounding the Secret World. So let's just get into it. So you guys are here to basically talk about Star Anvil Studios, the Secret World tabletop RPG, and your upcoming backer kit launch. And so, yeah, we're here to talk all about that. So how about we go about and have you guys introduce yourself first and foremost?
Yes. Who's going first?
How about Brandon? Brandon, let's say.
How about
because
I spoke first? Hi, I'm Brandon. There, I've introduced myself. You know everything about me. So a number of years ago, I started Star Anvil Studios and was searching for an opportunity to get a game out there that might get our name out there a little bit more. And I stumbled upon a game I used to play and said, I wonder if they'd say yes, and sent an email. And here we are. And I've been, I played games for 20 plus years, but the company has existed for about 5. And, there's not much else to tell. There's probably a lot of gory details, but that's the basics.
Nice. Okay. And how about you, Ross? Tell us a little bit about
Hey,
yourself.
everybody. I managed to escape the black signal to join this show tonight. It was not easy. I've been a game designer for about 20 years. You may know me from games like Torg Eternity, all the Warhammer 40k role-playing game lines, Star Wars Edge of the Empire, a bunch of Savage World stuff, and now I'm helping to create a bunch of great stuff for Star Anvil Studios, including the Secret World RPG.
Oh, amazing. If you can't tell, we're all just big fans of Secret World here. that isn't just totally obvious. And the one, the only, Joshua Doetsch, Scribnomancer. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Joshua Doetsch, sometimes known as Scrivnomancer, and I've worked in the games industry since like 2009. Got my start with Funcom, originally on Age of Conan, eventually on the Secret World, and I've in the years between, I've worked freelance. I most recently worked for Amazon Game Studios. I am now to put it nicely, freely searching for work again as of last week.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as abrupt as that was, I've to be fair, I've survived a lot of mass layoffs in video games, which have lots of mass layoffs, and this one finally nipped me. But fear not, I've got a good buffer of time to figure things out. A nice
Always
little
good.
severance package, and I've got a bunch of leads I'm following right now. So it will all be good. On to bigger and better things, including the Secret World tabletop game, which combines something I worked on in the video games with perhaps my true love, which is tabletop games, where I serve as the sort of the Loremaster. I've written a little bit of it, but then I've also just kind of looked over the things that the other writers have written, and to the best of my ability, it's a vast bit of lore. But yeah, I put in
He
little
steers the ship
commentary.
so we don't hit the rocks.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. Right. I'll
Well, he
say
also
yes.
puts the rocks in place, though.
So yes, sorry. It's really sorry to hear about you and Amazon Game Studios there, Scriv. But glad to hear that you got a nice little buffer of time in order to figure things out. We know how deeply talented you are, so we hope you all the best in trying to find something else. I can't imagine someone out there is like there has to be someone as talented as you are. But yeah, glad to have all of you on the show tonight. And so yeah, we're going to be talking about specifically this backer kit. Now we had one question come up, basically in that what really is backer kit? Can you explain what backer kit is and how it basically pertains to the Secret World tabletop RPG?
That's a question for
Right.
Brandon.
I was just waiting to see who was going to take it. So backer kit is after the main crowdfunding is over, for those who missed the crowdfunding, to get the information out to make sure we're getting the items to those that were part of the crowdfunding. It's basically management that allows us to take care of those who backed us in the crowdfunding originally, and add a few more people until we cut off for the final date to push the book out.
Okay,
so it's
right.
just a way that, oh, I missed the Kickstarter, I didn't know about it, which I got a lot of messages about. I'm like, I've been talking about it for a year, and people are like, I didn't know this was out there. It's amazing how people don't know, no matter how hard you try. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. And so this lets a few more people catch what they might have missed. And for example, because of the way we set things up, we did let the my brain's going blank. The covers, the Ross,
The collector's edition.
Collector's edition.
Collector's edition.
There you go. Yeah, my brain went blank. So the collector's covers are still available, which many people requested. I wasn't sure if we were going to do that. We still consider this part of the crowdfunding, so we're going to let that go here. Those won't be available on Drive-Thru RPG after Backer Kit closes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Backer Kit's like a second chance for people who want to, get in on all the goodness that the Kickstarter offered.
Or things they didn't have money for when the Kickstarter would end. Like, oh, I wanted that, but I knew I wouldn't have the money when it closed, so they didn't back because they couldn't, etc.
Right. Okay, so the backer kit itself is also only going to be up for basically a limited time, you said.
Yeah, it'll be probably we'll run it till we're very close to closing out the for delivery. That exact date we'll give notice when we know how close we are to pushing out the book.
Yeah, TBD, but we will have an end date.
Okay, so it's basically is like to reiterate, sort of like a second Kickstarter. No, it's basically a way for other people to get in that just it couldn't.
It's additional crowdfunding and management of the crowdfunding you already did. Yes.
All right. Okay. Good. And say Waffle, did you see that I sent some of the books that are going to be the covers to some of these books? Because you mentioned the collector's editions.
That's right.
And in your latest update, no, those are our show notes.
Yeah.
There you go. So we got the map pack, the covers to the map pack. All right. the Stoneward Bound adventure, which is the 8-page adventure that is now included as part of the extra rewards. What do they call those?
That's right.
Those are the
Stretch goals.
Stretch goals.
stretch
Yeah.
goals. Yes. The Bestiary. It's fantastic artwork. Got the Revenant on the monster deck. Right.
Best creature ever.
Gotta love a Revenant. Power deck.
Some people may recognize the art there because we thought we'd save some money.
Right. Yes. Well, yeah, it looks a little familiar. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good to see some familiar faces too. Yeah.
Yeah, the pre-gens. Just the standard, the 5e cover. The art of the Secret World with our Revy buddy. And then the collector's edition covers for Dragon, Illuminati, and whoever those guys are.
Yeah.
the best
map-
faction
the-
ever.
The maps are also themed to the factions, so
Yeah.
that map pack is not just standard maps. There are maps that are themed to the individual groups.
Okay, yeah. Because they're the maps are basically of the faction headquarters.
Right, in the three newer locations we're adding to kind of like expand the game's geography.
Nice.
That's a theme we're
So-
going to go with as we go forward. As we add, if we are able to continue making books, which I believe we will be, we want to keep expanding more of the world so that you know it's in the video game. If you want all that, it's in the video game. We want to add more places for you to go, more creatures for you to encounter. This first book is really just us establishing the groundwork that Funcom approves that we can then build going forward on.
That was gonna be one of my questions. Is, are you already planning any supplements for the future, like Orochi, the Swarm, non-bees? I saw a lot of people asking about playing non-bee characters, or like more one-shot adventures, time travel, etc., etc., etc.
We're
So-
definitely planning more stuff.
Yes.
We've got a lot of great ideas that we would like to explore. We are just trying to get the core book through to Funcom for approvals, and then we can get started in earnest on what's coming next. And we'll get it. We'll probably come here to tell you guys all about it when we have that nailed down.
Okay, all right.
Let's just
That
say
sounds
I
good.
want to explore. I have a lot of things I want to do. I'm not going to list them all out. I have talked to them a little bit in the past, but I'll say the next thing I want to do is really explore North America as like an additional thing to start there and kind of do it in chunks of the world. That's kind of a goal, but specifics we'll get to when we're. I don't want to make Ross pull his hair out because he and I
No.
both have very little of that left. So, but
think-
yeah, I mean, we definitely have several books we want to do. Yes,
I think we can say that our main resource here was actually Josh, where we kind of said to him, like, hey, like, what would you like to see more of that you never got to talk about? And he gave us a lot of really great starting points that are going to be really exciting, I think, to get into.
So now Josh has been has worked on Secret World itself. Josh has written for Secret World. He's written for that. So I guess the question can then come up as what and this question came up as Invicol on Twitter asked, they said, can you elaborate on how it will expand on existing the lore and the timeline and how that works?
I'd love to get
No.
into that in detail, but
so
we need to make sure Funcom is absolutely 100% on board with that stuff before we get into full detail. But we have got some surprises. I think Josh could probably talk a little bit about some of the thinking behind
Tease
what
it.
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I can't nail down things, I guess, too much until we're sure.
Obviously.
Funcom's good with it. But yeah, I mean, any tabletop property is its own kind of separate thing from the other property, and because players are going to take plots in all kinds of different directions themselves.
Right.
But yeah, we've kind of jumped the time forward, but in a weird way, and I'll leave it vague at that. But with lots of little I wanted to make sure certain key places players could still interact with, and the other writers have taken that and run with it. And the one location that I would have been particularly like, oh, I don't know if I like this or that, that turned out really good. I think the way they've kind of advanced those characters and what's changed since then, but still allows you to kind of go visit. And I'm being really vague just because I don't know how close to the line I can get, but
That's fine.
Stay away
as
from the
someone,
line. Stay away
right,
from the line.
yeah,
Don't
as someone
bust.
who loves certain characters and locations, I really like the ability to revisit some of them, but I really like the way that they've evolved since then. And of course, it being a tabletop game, you can pick up these books and play right where the MMO starts if you want. You can play out those scenarios.
Right.
That's totally
right.
cool. Well, we're giving you an updated timeline if you're like, okay, but what next?
We are including a lot of the monsters from the original from the game.
Yes.
So if you have stats, you could say, I want to run this scenario. Most of the monsters are going to be there. You know the stories. You can play. If you want to play what exists, you're not going to be stopped from it. We just didn't want to try and start from an area that already exists and try and force you to be in that story and play it exactly as it happened. That's not very player friendly. But
yeah, one of our goals was to give fans of the Secret World kind of a, even if they don't play the RPG, kind of a big coffee table book that really dives deep into the lore, talks about what it means to be a bee, what's the buzzing like, because the RPG brings you down into a very intimate experience with the IP that probably more so than you'd get out of the MMO even. And I think we've explored a lot of the elements of the IP in a way that is maybe a little more personal to people.
Okay. Yeah, it's my understanding that generally what is on the tabletop is not necessarily considered like canon, obviously, because it's sort of like
yeah,
it's how
Funcom
you
wanted
make
to make
it up
sure.
necessarily.
Funcom wanted to make it clear that in the front of the book that it is based on the Secret World. Because they don't want to be beholden to anything should they decide to go another way and say this is now quote unquote canon. Of course, they can use whatever they want from it if they ever do anything with the game later. It's their world. Anything that we write in this game, they can use in any way they want. That's part of the deal, but
they're just not beholden to it.
Yeah.
Right. This is why Josh's involvement was really important. We needed to get him on board.
And if you want to think of it in a really meta way, instead of just properties and what is canon and what isn't, if you want to think of it in a multiverse way, this is just another twist in Agartha's time and space bending branches where there's an area that like it, but there's things that have changed.
Everything is true, including this RPG.
That's right.
But that's exactly what they want you to think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And and it being a tabletop game, you can really run with everything is true because you can, besides what we actually put in the book, hopefully see enough examples that you can take that and go, oh, okay, I love this cryptid that's never been mentioned. I'm throwing in my Secret World version of it here. Or you see a location and you're like, okay, I see how a Secret World location's built. My hometown, what's the Secret World version of that? Build on it from there.
So what's the line like? But which of the lies are true? It's like that's the fun part. All the lies are true.
All the lies.
But yes, but
question.
Sure.
I guess going back for earlier, is Foxfire the kit is only for actual items like covers and not for some of the higher tier rewards, correct?
Oh yes, that's a question. Is what will be included in the backer kit? Yeah.
So
any of the non-limited tiers. So we had some tiers that were limited to just 6 people or 12 people, and those are not, and you can't get in on that anymore because that limit has been hit.
I believe the stretch goals are not included in the backer kit, except for those that backed originally. I believe. I have to double check. Pretty sure that's stretch goals were only for backers, I believe, unless it was done. It's like if it was a stretch goal, we added something to the main book, it would obviously be included. But if it was additional stretch goals, those things I don't believe are part of the.
Well, maybe I misunderstood the question. I thought he was asking about the higher tier rewards, which is like the
yeah.
Create your own character. Those things were limited and they're not in the backer kit.
Right. So you're not just gonna suddenly just make a character for everybody, or may draw everybody's character or something to be
No,
et cetera,
I-
something like
I-
that.
The people had their
so
chance.
painful.
Early
so
bird gets the worm
painful.
on those.
But when it comes to the
Yeah.
books and the books themselves, yeah, that's
Yeah.
All the actual
Fine.
products you can get for sure. Yeah, on backer.
Correct.
okay. We had someone ask on Discord, Aceo Cleatin, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Will there be a live RP demo, like a 1-hour scenario sort of run?
You know,
I don't
we
know exactly
really
what that
should. We really should. Let's put that under. We'd really like to do that and see if that happens.
That was my
Honestly,
question for you a couple times, Brandon. I was like, because I kept pushing you to be like, hey, can we run like a sample encounter or something?
Hey,
Like,
I'm
that'd be sort of cool. But it's sort of like to give people like a taste, like a real taste of it, and that's what this question I think is really coming into, is like a live session to show people what the game is all about and what it is.
Open to the idea. It's just a matter of, until Funcom approves everything we've done, we can't do anything because we'd be breaking our agreement. So once we get to that point, ask me again, and I'll say, let me see what I can do. Because the answer would be, I would love to make it happen. No, I mean, yeah, maybe. I would love to do it here. I would love to volunteer Josh to run it, but we'll see how that works out.
Oh my gosh. One of my dreams right there.
The Dark One will oversee your adventure.
I understand that Josh knows a thing or two about DMing, so who knows?
I've done that. I've done it on streams, and I will do it again. Do you hear me, society?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Is that a threat, sir?
Yes.
Of
a good time.
That's right. No, we're talking about, like, basically you guys are the tabletop experts. We are the secret world game experts, and Joshua straddles that not spreads. That's a terrible term. Straddles that line.
We'll get back to that word early. If he's
Wait, what am I doing on this live stream? We're talking about?
You're straddling
such a supple line.
It's
so supple.
He has a foot
between
in each
like
world,
the game,
like a colossus rising above us.
I'm out of work, so I'm desperate. But
not that desperate.
Maybe not that desperate. So yeah, but you guys are the experts on the tabletop RPG aspects, and we're more of the game, so we know all the lore and we love the game and the gameplay and all of that combined. But there are 5 games all wrapped in the Secret World universe: Secret World Legends, Hide and Shriek, The Park, and Moons of Madness. Have you played any Secret World Legends and or any of the others to help you better understand the project so far?
I personally played Secret World and then played Secret World Legends, and then it's been a while because I just don't like the interface anymore. For me personally, I'm colorblind. There's issues. I have seen things in there, so dark games and things that tend to be very frustrating for me over time. And I'm not as smart as my wife, so I can't figure all the puzzles out without help and cheats. So,
I mean, some of the puzzles
are
just nasty. They're nasty puzzles.
I've definitely played the game, and honestly, I've always loved the Draug, and that part of the game is just the atmosphere. So it's just, if only for that section alone, I would have wanted to do the Secret World. If only that alone inspired me, I would have wanted to do the Secret World. And then there's everything else. So that's me.
Vomer says in chat, there's nothing wrong with using a guide or to get through it for a really tough puzzle. Vomer basically runs tswdb.com, which is basically Secret World informational resource to help you get through all those puzzles.
Respect.
Which is amazing.
But what's really great about it is that it has like click to show hints and then a final click to show solution. So you can you can sort of not just ruin a puzzle. You can be like, I'm just super stuck. I don't want to know the answer. Someone please point me in the direction, and it's great for that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the puzzles are exceptionally tricky, some of the trickiest out there, and we get that. How about How about Ross? How about have you tried?
So I'm probably the guy with the least experience with the Secret World games here. I kind of bring my side, which is the tabletop, into the picture. But Josh and Brennan have done a really good job of getting me interested and excited about the setting and the lore and all the great stories that go on in it. So I'm a fan. I just haven't really played much of the games.
Okay. And I don't know if this question is even really applicable to Scriv.
It's been a while, but yeah, I've played all of those. I've written on and
Consider
played,
you've written most of them, yeah.
Hide and Shriek, which doesn't have a ton of writing, but the little journal entries.
But I
and
found it all.
descriptions.
I found it all.
Yep.
I bought the game twice to play myself to go find all the sheets.
I like my that features I believe diary entries from teenage Kirsten Geary from the 90s.
Teenage Kirsten Geary with a switchblade.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice.
All the laughing
little
Jenny
micro
stuff.
stories in the spell descriptions.
Yeah.
And then I wrote on Moons of Madness, actually, and I have played Moons of Madness. Yes, I have. I have Moons of Madness, but yeah. But it's been a while since I've played the game proper. I should probably fix that.
What kinds of challenges have you guys had in translating the MMO into the RPG?
That's a good question. I think there is no direct one-to-one between an MMO game and a tabletop game. They're just different experiences.
Right.
But we have tried. One of the biggest challenges was adapting for the mechanics of a character so that it felt like you were playing the kind of class and abilities that you get in the MMO. And one of the things that pushed us actually was the idea that you can sort of respec your character pretty handily in the Secret World, which we adopted into an approach using the 5e rule set where you have your base class, but you have a number of subclasses that you can switch between on the fly. That gives you that same sense. Not exactly, obviously, it's not one-to-one, but it gives you a similar feeling of flexibility that you would get when playing the MMO.
And I think that the biggest challenge is dealing with death, i.e., you don't die.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, yeah.
We had some fun with that too. Yeah.
So that's one that you're gonna have to wait to see in the book a little bit more. But death is about choices, and it affects you. Yes, you're gonna come back, but there are choices
And
consequences.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions is how is death going to be handled, especially in comparison to something like D&D where it's, there's resurrection spells and, there's some, it's all basically up to the DMs themselves how they really want to handle that. But Secret World is very, handles death very in a different way.
I would definitely encourage the GM not to hold back and kill the players as often as possible.
You mean the player
character? Yes, not the players themselves, because that is bad. I understand. I always say players for some reason. I might need some medical help. But I mean, I really don't want.
We're not advocating murder.
No. Well, character murder, not player.
Right.
You don't really want. I mean, when I say that is sometimes as a GM you'll hold back because you don't want your players to die because depending on the game you're playing, how it's set up, you actually. Death now actually is more interesting if it happens regularly. You don't want to force it, but it's good for driving the story if you let it happen.
Okay.
So that's
what's the next way? How is character progression necessarily handled? Is it going to be this kind of basically you mentioned, I'm got 5 questions in my head right now. But you mentioned how to make it feel more actiony or to make it feel like it's more you're playing the character like you would be playing in the game itself. Does 5th edition really help with that? And what do you think you would say to all those who are insisting on other systems? Because I see that a lot in your Discord and whatnot about like, oh, I want to use like Tiny D6, or I want to use this system, or I want to use that system.
So I will let Ross
Yeah.
fully answer this one, but I'll give you my opinions because I'm gonna have to leave pretty soon tonight. And everyone, first of all, has a system they like best. So that's you're never going to be able to get everyone to be happy. If we let it open to everyone's choice, we'd have 20 systems, and we would still have people bringing up another system. But 5e, we chose it. It was really, honestly, it was a choice to reach the most people, so we could guarantee to be funded, so we could bring this game to life. Does that make it the best system or the worst system? No, it has its strengths and it has its weaknesses. It is not necessarily easier to learn, but more people already know it, so they don't have to learn the game and the lore. They can pick it up and play. So as far as if you've played 5e before, you'll know how to play a character in this game. Sure, you can switch your powers, but you still know how to play the game. You're going to advance by leveling. That's some people don't like that at all. Some people love it. I've had people say they love 5e. Some people say they hate 5e. Again, preference and choice. I understand. And the last thing I'll say about it is what Ross said when we try to translate the mechanics. He says trying to copy it over from one, directly from the video game, therein lies madness. So there's no exact way to translate that. We had to give a feeling, and you use your imagination a bit to make it work on any system we would use. Ross, I'll stop talking now.
Okay. I think if people are looking for another system besides 5e, keep watching this space because we do have plans to expand outward to at least at least one other system and maybe more. Demand is part of that. So if you guys really want it, let us know. And the more people that back the Kickstarter, the more people that get into the backer kit, that's a good indication that there's a big audience out there that we can serve with different approaches.
Okay, that's really nice to hear. That to give options in my opinion are always better, but options also cost a lot more money and time to make. So I also understand that too. But that's good to hear that that's definitely on the table.
Yeah, definitely on the
table. Faux is asking, did you hold any ideas back when you pitched it to Funcom, or what's the most outlandish notions you had when coming up with new locations and such? Like Secret World in space.
Holding ideas back. Brandon's probably a good one to talk about that.
I don't hold ideas back. Ross has to slow me down. I always have ideas. That's the problem. No, as far as locations, I just wanted to pick things that sounded like I thought France would be more interesting. Let's explore Paris. What about horror in Paris? What about India? That doesn't really get touched much in a lot of RPGs, and I thought that would be interesting to. I wanted to really expand the world. Like this is a worldwide game, so that is there. As far as ideas, I did get a couple of good calls with Funcom. Got to sit down and they let me in and see the little secret files, whatever they have. Josh obviously sees it far more than I do, but they did have a pretty good discussion, and there's a lot of options. But at the same time, we really have to watch the lore where they know where the story was supposed to go. Okay, they have a beginning, middle, end to their story, and we have to stay in those bounds. So I don't know that there's some weird. Okay, the last idea I did throw at them is what if ever, and this is gonna make Ross shoot me for saying it. I would love to have the option to do what was the secret world like in the Third Age?
Okay, yeah.
Now, will that ever happen? We've got a lot of books ahead of us in this thing first, so we'll see.
But the concept of
something that is possible that you guys can look at in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's a big maybe, but
it is a big maybe.
Yeah.
It's fair to say our first priority was making sure we satisfy the expectations of hardcore fans about the Secret World first, and then look at the more outlandish stuff that we could maybe get to later on. So
right.
Maybe, certainly, but we the most important thing was getting it right for what the Secret World is and the expectations of a Secret World fan.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I would love to go back to the different ages themselves, but I mean simultaneously, yeah, that's it's an entirely different world, entirely different.
You never know. The Agartha gates and Agartha roads can lead to some strange places. So who knows?
I mean, if the Kickstarter had done a couple $1 million, we could be doing more all at once. There's
totally
only
different discussion. Yeah,
totally different discussion. But there's
get on that, people. Support that backer kit.
There's Ross, there's there's Josh, there's Daryl,
Dame
great
Fortune,
writers.
I agree with you on that one. I agree with Dame Fortune. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, like a prison break episode.
Yep. That would be pretty sweet. Look at Josh.
I mean, this is also just the whole aspect of tabletop itself is that even if you guys don't necessarily create it, that doesn't mean that anyone else couldn't take the framework that you guys are creating and also join us with it too.
Yeah, if your passion is Secret World of Space, buy the book and run it.
Yeah. Right. The setting has so much broad and weird possibilities, and any video game, no matter how sandboxy and expansive, can only do so many things. This really allows you to go off the rails. It allows you to focus just on little things. If you want to play a game that is The Office set in a Illuminati base, and you never even touch the agents who go on missions, and just want to cover that drama, you can do that. You can cover things like what is a bee and is an agent. What is your family life like, if anything? Stuff that you can't really. You can role play. A lot of us have role played our characters in these kind of expanded versions of what's going on in their worlds, but isn't in the actual MMO itself.
Or a crazy
Secret World, The Office.
A crazy person just keeps eating bees because they're trying to become a bee.
I would watch a show that was all about doing that.
We talked. Josh, you and I think you mentioned one thing that was kind of wild and out there, but like the idea of Agarthonauts. Like some kind of people in the suits, they don't get their suits and like jump into the Stargate, but it's an Agarthonaut thing, and they're going across the gates and the roads. That would be wild.
Right. That would be fun. Yeah, because bees obviously can do it, but you got to figure obviously Orochi will just throw science experiments until something sticks.
Yeah, so they'll throw bodies at it till it works.
Right, entities like that, or some government or whatever, going like, "Hey, we gotta get in on this place and resource."
We gotta fill up the concrete.
I mean, if you want to play like a Call of Cthulhu style, throw the player characters into the grinder, you could have a lot of fun doing something where like, yeah, you're just normal humans, but you got this tech and you're being tossed in. Make 5 characters, but yeah, we're gonna toss in.
Is that how the two Blagini got on that one road in Agartha? Is it was just Orochi throwing them through a gate and seeing what happens? Anyway,
I don't recall.
I mean, that doesn't make sense. Why they're already in Agartha?
Yeah, I know it doesn't make sense. I'm just saying.
They were clearly murdered
by Orochi. Yeah. Anyway, so D&D has levels. 5th edition has levels, and when you level up, you get. How is character progression going to be handled? And say, just as an aside, will we have wings or even beyond, as far as like not just necessarily a character, but as sort of like a us becoming more inhuman sort of stuff be included?
Let me answer that as my last question before I leave.
Okay.
The wings and the progression. I think I can say from the way I talked to Funcom, I don't think we're going to be able to address that, at least in this book.
Okay.
And because I don't know where they're drawing the line on story as far as that goes. So I think the answer is you won't know that in this book. And as far as leveling progression, you're going level 1 to 20. We didn't try and redo the entire concept of D&D. We used the 5e rules and made changes where we felt it was necessary to get the feel for the game as best we could within the framework of those rules.
Okay. So yeah, still sticking to the general progression and rules, and okay.
Generally speaking. And I gotta go, guys, but if you're here a lot later, maybe I'll be back.
Okay. Well, thank you
right.
for joining us, Brandon. Much appreciated. Brandon Verhalen. Let's give you on my notes here.
Yay!
Yes, Brandon Verhalen, Star Anvil Studios
Woo!
founder and CEO, Secret World RPG art director, RPG enthusiast for over 30 years, lifelong fan of all things sci-fi and fantasy. Brandon, thank you for coming on the show with us tonight. Always a pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully we'll have the chance to talk to you again.
Thanks for having me. Good night, guys.
Yeah, have a good night. Okay, so this question I have comes from let me just find it in my notes. There it is, from Refim. It says, to Scrivenermancer, hypothetically, how many copies of the game book would someone need to buy to not be your enemy?
Nice.
That's highly specific. Yeah.
Specifically, it's a question for Scriv, so hey.
Yeah.
13.
13.
Enough to make a decent ritual circle.
That's how to not be your enemy. Everyone else, sorry, you're on the list. That's excellent. Let's see. Oh, this one could be interesting. For Refim says fair. It's fair. There was a while back. There was this whole kerfuffle with how Wizards of the Coast was handling the rights and the ownership of anything related to Dungeons and Dragons, but have since, because there was a big, because there was a big pushback. It was quite the kerfuffle. Because there was a big pushback against that, they've since seemed to walk it back. But how did that necessarily affect the development of the Secret World tabletop RPG? Sort of being using 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, but also Secret World, basically being a product owned by 2 different IPs, essentially. How are you planning on handling the changes if Wizards of the Coast didn't walk it back?
Yeah, I can answer that question. So we had the mechanics done by that point when that happened. So it didn't affect the development of the rules per se, but what it did is it caused us all to look for some plan Bs and plan Cs, because it wouldn't have been good for us to open Funcom up to all the craziness that was in those early drafts
Okay,
of
yeah.
WotC's agreement. And we definitely started exploring this. This is the first time we were like, hey, there are other game systems out there, maybe we should start thinking about this.
Right.
And at that point is when we were like, yeah, let's definitely put a pin in other game systems and start exploring that option later on. Now fortunately, the as you say, they completely retreated from their original position on that, and it is no longer an issue at all to create a 5th edition product for the Secret World, which we're very, very grateful for, because it would have been extremely awkward.
Now, if that went through, do you still have it as a backup just in case to say, hey, we want to use another rule set as an addition to the 5e?
Yeah, that's we had discussions. Me and Brandon did, and Star Anvil and other publishers about if we had to change horses midstream, what would we change to, right? And those discussions led to some interesting places as far as the other systems that we'd like to explore. But fortunately, like I said, we didn't actually have to do that, but there were some Skype calls involved. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
You're like, what's Pathfinder up to these days? Yeah, it's just okay, yeah. So I'm personally also glad that they were like, whoa. Okay, let's just walk this back a little bit here. Maybe we were a little too forward in what we were trying to do. But yeah, so I'm glad they walked it back too, because that would have just been shenanigans. That just would have been nonsense. That's basic. I mean, to be fair, that's basically all the questions I necessarily had prepared. I'm surprised we got through all of them. So, is there anything that you basically can? Is there anything that you basically can? I don't know. Give us a little first taste of, or sort of a behind the scenes sort of look at what this it could possibly look like before the backer kit opens up?
There's,
I don't know. Yeah, this is a really
yeah,
open question. I don't know.
it's. I mean, I can tell you like some of the stuff that I think we're very proud of. I'm very proud that Josh, when he read it, he was like, "This is pretty great." I'm really proud of the fact that we did some deep dives into, like what it means to be a bee. What does the buzzing feel like? Outside of just like getting messages, like what is that like in your life? I'm proud of the way that we put a lot of game master guidance in the book about how to use the real world as inspiration and use real world this is gonna sound weird, but real world cryptids and things like that as places to get ideas for adventures and places to get ideas for conspiracies, for things to challenge your characters. I think we did a good job of addressing the question of like, okay, now I have this book, what do I do with it?
Right. Okay.
Let me ask Josh because he read that section too. What do you think?
Wait, I'm sorry. Which section?
The game master section.
Oh, game master. Yeah. I thought there was some good advice on how to kind of run the different tensions in the game. There's a quick and easy way that's given on how missions should be given out and why characters from different factions would participate with each other. And you can just run with that without having to worry about too much more. But it also gives you some leeway to add in the tensions of, the characters in a party or cabal all work for different factions, and those factions want slightly different, goals. How does that, how do you ratchet up that tension? And I like early on, I told them that, like, yeah, you probably, as Ross said earlier, like trying to completely emulate the MMO, that way lies madness, especially when you're using an established system.
Right.
So there were,
right.
like in the game, there you have the 2-weapon system, but that's not really a lore conceit. That's a systems conceit, and you don't necessarily have to do that exactly the same way. The lore of it is you have these individuals who are charged with anima, and that anima can be put into a weapon, it can be put into a magical discipline, and it empowers you. You'll get further with magic than someone who hasn't been in charge with anima. You'll fight in superhuman ways with a sword that someone, even an expert with a sword, who doesn't have that. And we kind of took that and ran with it. And yeah, I think the classes and the way that I like the changeable respecking you can do with the sort of subclass system that they have in there, how that works. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
There was one thing we left on the cutting room floor that I really liked and I wanted to do more with. Who knows? Maybe we'll get it in the book at some point. But it was an idea that Josh had that I was like, oh, that's just too cool. And I like built a whole subclass around it, which was the idea of a cryptomorph. It's a guy who can sort of shape change into things or like parts of his body into things that are related to various different cryptids.
Okay.
Like it's I thought that was like a really cool idea. It was just like you can channel the anima through your body to turn into, what was that?
Something loud just drove by my house, I think.
That was the Illuminati.
Someone does not want us speaking more about the cryptomorph.
We're getting too much truth out there.
That's
right.
right.
Varmer will be happy about that. Imagine turning into a filth bird or a.
Now I do have another question that could, for people who make their own custom setting within the game setting here, would there be a way that the community can like share those particular settings and scenarios?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, there's licensing issues get tied up in that kind of
Yeah.
thing, but I will say we have a brand new website for Star Anvil Studios, which is staranvilstudios.com, which includes a forum. And if you have a great idea you just can't wait to tell other Secret World RPG fans about, specifically the RPG, come to our forum and talk about it. I'm sure we'd love to have people discuss whatever they want to do with this book and share ideas. But as far as like a DM's Guild like approach, I think that's probably out of bounds given the licensing agreement.
Okay, so basically something not officially sanctioned.
Yeah, there's
say.
no way we could do that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But something unofficially sanctioned in like a forum, sure.
Yeah, I mean, come share your idea, talk about it to your friends or other enthusiasts.
Okay. Yeah, no, I guess I forgot to put that in point, but yes, you have a new website, staranvilstudios.com, where not only you show off the stuff for Secret World, but also Saints and Sinners and Knights Arcanum.
That's right. Yeah, we have more game settings we're working on besides just Secret World, but yeah.
And also, it if you use an RSS feed to get your news from, it works through RSS as well, which I'm very appreciative of.
We had a really talented web guy put it together for us, so yeah.
Nice. So I've been keeping up with that as well. I got a question. There is a lot of inclusion of a lot of Secret World Legends lore. Obviously, it's going to be a part of the tabletop RPG. And are you hoping that it basically will help point people, or are you seeing where it might help point people towards Secret World Legends itself, like the game, and also sort of create like a feedback as far as like, well, if people in the tabletop get, see the RPG, that'll make the MMO, that'll make the MMO maybe more popular. The MMO becomes a little more popular. That can make the tabletop RPG more popular in sort of a rising tide raises all ships sort of scenario. Are you hoping that your product basically will help push people towards the MMO essentially?
I think feedback loops like that are great, and they work great with the kind of combination of tabletop and video games, because you might really get into your tabletop game, but man, next session isn't for 2 weeks. Oh, but I can go log on to this game, and I personally love especially like D&D games that have a decent character generator. Me and my friends love to go make our parties that we've played on tabletop and see the video game version of those characters, as best as we can get them. But yeah, so hopefully one feeds into the other.
And sort of like a transmedia synergy is, I believe, the buzz term for
it. That sounds very buzzy.
Yeah, God, we're going to leverage the paradigm. Yes.
If you push the one, the other one can push the other, and everything gets better. Because we want to see from our perspective, we basically want to see it all succeed. We want to see the game become bigger and become more popular, and we want to see your product become bigger and more popular as well. And so we have this one to just see it be as big as it possibly can be. Let's make Secret World The Office. Let's make that the TV show that they were talking about all those years ago.
That could be a lovely streaming game.
That's right.
Yeah.
So far, it's happening.
It's happening. I do that everywhere too. I have my D&D party in like 4 games so far. Yeah. This is something I feel like I missed this, but one of the Kickstarter reward goals, as far as the stretch goals, you had increased page count of the book to 240 pages, which is hefty. That is a hefty book. Monster deck PDFs for everyone, 20% more artwork, 10 more monsters, a pre-gen pack PDF for everyone, 8-page intro adventure, faction HQ maps, 10-page bonus bestiary, And I sort of missed this last one, but I was just checking the website today, and a Secret World RPG audio drama.
That's right. That's right. It is being put together by a
Oh.
Secret World super fan and professional voice actor. It's going to be pretty cool.
I was like, can I be a part of that somehow?
My understanding is that the script has been submitted and approved by Funcom, so it's just a
wow.
matter of time to get that out.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
You
amazing.
know, who knows? I mean, you know, if that sparks more interest, you know, I'd love to see more audio dramas for Secret World too. So
I'm a big
Nah.
audio theater fiend, so yeah.
Yeah, right? I was like, why? How did I miss that? Out of all things to miss, an audio drama. How cool was that? I mean, every Halloween it comes around, one of the missions that comes around is the broadcast, which is basically all about old school audio dramas. And you know, and if you've done the mission, we all have this little device that could basically play back all the audio dramas in the game that they present, which is all public domain at this point. It's all public domain stuff. I doubt they were shilling out for that. But just a super cool, just a super cool thing. And I'm not quite sure how that passed me by, because I saw that today and I was like, wait, audio drama? Wait, what?
So the story behind that is my friend Charlie Spicer is he loves the Secret World, like he adores it, and he was the one who said, "Hey, if you guys want, I could make this audio drama." So we floated the idea to Funcom, and they were like, "Yeah, sure." You know, we sent them the bullet points for the concept, and then we sent them the script. And Charlie, it's not done yet, but I am sure he's going to knock it out of the park. I'm really excited.
Amazing.
To see what that's going to be like.
Amazing. I can't wait to hear that now. I'm like, out of all news, I'm like, I can't wait for that one itself. Let's see. Are there any other questions that we have? Do you guys have any is there any points you wanted to bring up? Or if anyone in our chat also has any questions they want to have heard?
Have your voices heard. Speak up.
I'm shocked. I thought I had enough questions here to last.
Or forever hold your peace.
But yeah, we could open this up to anyone in our chat if you got any questions as well.
Deeply personal questions. Go.
That's right.
Unfortunately, I do have to head out, but it has been a great show. Thank you for having me on.
Oh,
Thank you
okay.
on behalf of Brandon. I'm sure if Josh can stick around for some of the questions, but I do have to go, unfortunately. But it's been a pleasure, you guys. Thanks so much for bringing us on.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks for dealing with the tech issues.
Yeah, that's right. That before. We brought you through the void.
Ross Watson, COO, Secret World RPG lead developer, Origins award-winning writer and game designer, over 2 decades of experience in crafting immersive stories. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Ross. It's been a pleasure, and yes, thankfully you made it through the all the tech issues.
The black signal couldn't catch me this time.
It tried, though. It tried hard.
See you guys around. Bye.
Have a good night. Have a good night. So what do we have here? What is your favorite squeezable food? And go.
I mean, any food squeezable if you're brave enough.
True.
Let's go with pizza. I just want a nice handful of pizza.
Squeezable pizza.
My fingers.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I have a very specific visual of that because when my kid was little, he liked to eat pizza, but he also liked to play in the rain, and he would do them together. He's like outside playing in the rain and drops his pizza in a puddle, and then just picks it up and literally has a squeezable fistful of pizza and just keeps eating it. It's raining pizza.
That's my answer now. A fistful of puddle pizza.
Beautiful.
That'll be the title of my autobiography. A Fistful of Puddle Pizza, the Joshua Deitch story.
Fofire does ask, are there any sections that give tips or suggestions as to how to run sessions? I feel like this is up your alley too, because you are a tabletop expert here.
Right.
Background music or things like that.
I believe there's a little bit of that. I've done a run through of most of the text to kind of go with lore glasses on. But I think there was. I love those kinds of sections. So
I have a playlist of the broadcast radio shows from like the Halloween mission.
Oh, nice.
All those old timey radio shows that are like public domain.
Right.
I have a YouTube playlist of those. Those are pretty good for background.
Yeah. And I love in general I'm a big fan of GM tips. Yeah. Playlists or do this to establish mood. Could do a whole podcast.
I was saying, you could have your you could have your table be as elaborate as you want it to be. Yeah.
But yeah, putting together a good playlist. I mean, the music from the game itself is a great start.
I Walk Into Empty is pretty good.
I Walk Into Empty is good. Just any of your favorite kind of scores from particularly like supernatural or conspiracy themed movies or shows. Scores are great in general if you just want some lyricless music in the background. There is a YouTube channel. I think it's called Cryo Chamber, I want to say. And it is all just these weird, dark mood kind of playlists that go on forever. They've got a ton of them. In fact, and then they have a live channel that you can click on that it works like a radio station. They just play a bunch of their stuff all night, and the graphic for it makes it look like you're on a dystopian train in some weird future while it's playing.
Oh, it's like a lo-fi girl type of
thing. It's a lot of mood and ambient stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of it sounds kind of like futuristic technological. Some of it sounds very like dark fantasy arcane kind of stuff.
Now we got a couple of questions rolling in here. Barbara says, right, who's your favorite of the following who aren't currently trapped in Kaiden Station? Alex McCall, Mei Ling, Rose White, or Zuberi?
Oh,
no, it's not time to argue.
That's a tough call. I as a huge fan of John Constantine, his sort of stand in the secret world, Alex is a favorite of mine. But
get to the platform.
I'd probably have to say I'd lean towards Alex, but
I have seen him eat a taco in the intro, so he's got that going for him.
He's got tacos.
You've
seen some weird supernatural stuff. You need self-care is important, and tacos are important.
Tacos are one of the ultimate.
He's like, look, everything is coming down. It's Tuesday. It's taco time.
Right. One of the ultimate comfort foods is a taco.
Especially a squeezed handful of taco.
A squeezed taco. Someone says, or Mel Adams says, I didn't think I had a question, but I do. If strong and silent isn't Saeed's type, what is?
That's an excellent question. Because I love Saeed. He's my answer for that other question, even though he wasn't an option. Saeed. Like he's someone I want to put into some tabletop sessions.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Who doesn't love
he's just
Saeed?
An NPC I love. What is his type? I think Saeed's a sampler. I think over time, he's a pendulum that swings every which way.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah, especially when you've been around for hundreds of years.
After
Thousands of
millennia,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got time. Right. I just had a thought. In the tabletop RPG, your bee can finally speak. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
That's
Part of the whole thing of tabletop RPG characters is
We-
that
we-
they
we-
communicate.
we should
Get a
put
run a
that as a
session
little.
where no one's allowed to talk, just the DM.
Yeah. Only it's just NPC theater.
Just all monologuing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that should be on the book. Like now with talking PCs.
There you go.
That should actually be it should be a scenario when no one's allowed to talk except for the GM.
Right.
See how long
Whenever you go to
can
like the main mission giver, it's like no, you can't say anything. Sorry, just
right. You're allowed to start to say something, but the GM always has to cut you off.
Yeah, not much of a talker, eh?
Oh, fantastic. Always good having you on, Scriv.
Thank you.
I don't think I say it enough. You're fantastic. We love you.
Always happy to be on.
So just push other stuff. Yeah, Joshua Allen Doetsch, and I still hope every time I say your last name, I feel like I'm saying it wrong.
No, you're saying it right. But
right,
no worries if not. I am so used to alternate pronunciations, it doesn't strike a chord.
But from your website, joshuadoetsch.com, you are a sentient word virus spreading across a collective unconscious through the vector of human language. It has taken on many forms, from short stories to screenplays to tabletop role-playing games. It spreads through print, digital, and audio mediums. It coalesced as the novel Strangeness in the Proportion and shaped itself into an anthropomorphic guise as lead writer of The Secret World. I just wanted to just point that out.
It all might be true.
Oh, I remember something from before the stream. I wanted to let you know that when the buzzing is translated through about like 15 different language translations and back in English,
it probably gets better.
It sometimes is still about the same.
That's interesting.
Like not the same words, but like somehow the vibe sometimes persists. That makes sense.
I need to check this out. Yeah, I need to check this out because that's an excellent thing to do. Because
I just finished a playthrough where all the text in the game ran through translators. So like everything from the lore to the menus to and yeah, there was a couple of spots where the translators I think got stuck on a loop.
I could imagine. As someone who writes often really stylized weird things, that's something I've run into in working in video games, is working with translators a lot, going like, well, how do we, so the buzzing especially, the buzzing especially must be like a nightmare to translate.
One of the Agartha lores is like a paragraph long when it should be like a sentence. And it's just like the inconsistency of the incongruency of the inconsistent inconsistencies of the inconsistent. And I was like, I think something got stuck.
I think sometimes the buzzing should sound like that.
That's right.
Yeah. Like I said, the mission turner reports were sometimes pretty bizarre. We now say 5 above instead of high five in my channel because the person Yuri's high five got translated 5 above.
5 above.
But yeah, a lot of other stuff was particularly weird, but a lot of the buzzing stayed, at the very least, interestingly readable.
That's interesting. The buzzing is persistent.
Yes, it's hard to keep a good buzzing down.
That's a good question though. Pertaining back to the tabletop RPG, is how is the buzzing, at least as far as in the manuals and whatnot. Okay, again, GMs can do whatever they want, but how is the buzzing necessarily going to be shown as an entity in the tabletop?
It's kind of it's a way. It's definitely a way for the GM to nudge players, to give them cryptic messages, to give a hint, like if you want to try and be like, if they're floundering to find something, you can give a cryptic hint. it's also a way to give this feeling that Gaia, whatever she actually is taking some interest with, but still offering a separation. And this was something in drafts I had to make sure came across, because sometimes it came across too much like, this character has the hard line to Gaia and knows to do, and I'm like, no, she needs to be, she's kind of mysterious. I mean, she's out there, but she's very mysterious.
You think sort of in the same way that D&D presents like their, I don't know, pantheon of gods and deities necessarily?
Yeah. Particularly the ones that are more aloof or have more go-betweens. There could be a whole section on like how to voice the buzzing, because it is a weird
tip of if they would like a tip from the buzzing, then you get a voice modulator and a taser, and you tase them while giving them the tip.
That'd be pretty accurate. Yeah.
It makes sessions a lot more interesting.
If that seems too daunting to do something as weird sounding as the buzzing, always remember as a GM, the tools at your table is narration itself. Players too actually should remember this. Like, just because, like, say you're playing a bard in a game doesn't mean you have to give a soliloquy. You could narrate the fact that you just gave a soliloquy, or you could,
right. You don't have to sing.
Right.
Yeah.
You could say,
I'm going to sing this. Yeah, I'm going to sing a scathing song that rhymes words with honey and jackass, and you leave it in there. You've just painted the picture in someone's head without actually having to come up with a song on the spot. GMs too, you could be like, there's a weird buzzing voice in your head and your nose bleeds, and you get these images, and you have this vague idea that, etc., without having to necessarily break into buzzing speak. But hey, if you
right,
great too. And you can write some ahead of time. It is, I mean, as weird as it is formulaic. There's a formula to the buzzing.
Transmit.
There's a pattern of it that you can plug in if you go and look up buzzing lore bits.
I was gonna say I sort of wrecked my brain a little bit in the way that I just finished watching, or I just finished fully Critical Role season or campaign 2, and it was fantastic. I thought it was amazing, but yeah, no, that's not necessarily realistic for anyone's real.
No, yeah. And I'm sure that happens where someone comes to a table and, why isn't it this way? But it's a good life lesson to learn. We all have to learn to enjoy doing things, even though there are people doing excellent things. Like that's
yep.
It's a gift. It's not a detractor. And yeah, there are lots of ways to play, and that style of high voice acting is not necessarily the way it has to be, or has to be all the time. You might have moments where it clicks and that happens, but you can, just like in prose stories, some writers will be right in the nitty gritty of the dialogue to the point where maybe there isn't much else. Like Chuck Palahniuk, he has whole chapters that are just all dialogue without description, and you infer the descriptions from the dialogue. And then there's others like Lovecraft barely goes into dialogue. Things are just kind of narrated from a higher point, and that is totally viable when you're not quite sure, or if you're just tired one night and you're like, yeah, I do this thing, and I do it menacingly.
You're like, I'm just not doing it this time. That's fine.
Yeah. You do not have to be.
You just deadpan. I do this with a lot of vigor.
Yeah. Totally fine.
No, you have no idea. Like a lot of enjoyment I'm having right now.
Fofire, thank you so much for this episode. This was an absolute blast. I gotta head out. Have a good night, Fofire. Thank you for your questions, by the way. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Oh yes, and Saeed, sex cult does need to be a thing.
All welcome.
I mean, his little item that shouldn't exist. Goddamn temporal anomaly.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite parts, I have to say, in the whole game is right.
He stole that from me, but he gave it to me.
Right, he gave it to me, and he's like, one of you will get it right.
No, not that. That's yes, that happens.
Oh, that. Yes, the right, the thing that shouldn't exist.
He gives you the little item that's because you read the directions. It helps to hold an item of the correct time period or something to like.
Mm-hmm.
help you focus and get to the right time. And then in the cinematic back then, the young version of Saeed steals it from you.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute. If he got it by stealing it from me and he gave it to me and stole it from me, where the fuck did that come from? It literally can't exist.
That's part of the one was like people are like, "Oh, that's a plot hole," and you're like, "Listen, no, that's on purpose. That's supposed to be weird.
That's not a plot hole." Although I will say the idea. So if you follow the line that you're supposed to hold an item that gets you to the time period, then that item must be from that time period, or you just have shot off somewhere else, right? So the item
had to have been
definition of how
or at
the
least
time tunes works.
Tied to that time period.
It needs to be tied to that time period.
Right.
But how?
Yeah, no, it's one of those fun things where it's like, no,
maybe there's a lot of
magic.
It's like that's supposed to be. I always took that as the writers were like, no, that's supposed to be basically like a break in time. That's supposed to basically be a default point. Yeah. It's supposed to not make sense. If it felt too obvious, it didn't make sense. That was supposed to not make sense.
I must unfortunately leave you in just a few minutes.
Okay.
I must go.
I'll say, well, thank you again for joining us, Joshua
Always.
Deitch. I already read your little descriptor there.
Little byline.
Secret World RPG, Loremaster, and I'd like to thank our personal friend. Thank you for coming on the show. We're trying to think of how many times you've been on the show so far, and we're like 5, 6.
Not enough. The answer is always not enough.
We're not good at numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers, what's that?
We got past the drummer count and then we lost track.
But of course, thank you for joining us, Scriv. Much appreciated. You are always welcome on the show whenever you want to come on. You're like, hey, there's no news. Are you busy? I don't know.
I'll be back. We can answer weird lines of questioning.
That's right. But of course, good luck with everything going on. Yeah, with Amazon and all the post stuff there. Good luck with your family and your son. It's always a pleasure to hear about him because my son's now 5 years old and we're going through all that fun stuff. And so it's just yep, like welcome to the club. It's
well, perhaps I'll be on again soon to announce whatever the next thing is work-wise.
That would be amazing. No matter what it is, really. It doesn't have to really deal with Secret World. It could be, I don't know. I was so excited when it was like, oh, you're working on Lord of the Rings. I was like, yes.
I know. It's a heartbreak.
Cool.
Complicated licensings are a bitch.
Yeah.
But let us know when you launch Vampire the Masquerade wiki feed, and we'll be there.
I would love to do more Vampire the Masquerade stuff always. But yes, I will bid you all a good night.
All right. Have a good night, man. Again, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for chatting with us. Always a pleasure. Scriptomancer. Big round of applause.
My pleasure. And as my son now says right before bedtime, mwah, to all of you.
Aw. Such a good kid. All right. Well, that was good. I like that so far.
That's a lot of good stuff that came out from the good folks over there at Star Anvil.
So we hope all you who came to chat enjoyed that as well. Having Brandon on and Ross on after Ross sacrificed himself so that he couldn't be on the show, and then suddenly he was there.
Yeah.
By magic.
On the third try, he rose again.
That's right.
And don't forget to buy 13 copies of the book so you're not...
13 copies. That is the number of copies where he will not be your enemy. Right. Official co-host. I mean, Scriv is basically a co-host. It's true. Just when he can make it on. That's all. I don't like if any of anyone who was on the show in the past is ever like, hey, I always consider them like co-hosts to an extent. Like, I don't think anyone really truly leaves. I don't know.
Yeah, as long as they sit over there, like part of the crew, always a co-host.
Just my train of thought is just, if you're a part of the show, you're always part of the show. That's always how it's been. Might be a little weird with some people, but that's okay.
Yeah, I have to reapply every week. It's really, it's honestly, it's kind of insulting.
Speaking of, did you turn in your form?
That's right. Did you fill in your 960 form for the show?
No, I forgot.
Every week, yes. We make everyone do it. It's the only fair way, really.
Yeah, when is it though?
I'll be back for the next episode then. Okay.
All right.
It will be weird, I promise up front.
Sure. If I'm not horribly sick, my gosh. Here's the thing: is I know we were like, oh, let's switch to a
new schedule.
And like we haven't followed it at all.
Schedule.
Just completely.
I feel like they should have seen that coming.
Right? Yeah, right. To some extent,
I mean,
yeah.
Everyone has been here for a while.
For still showing up.
That's why
if you've been watching us for a while, you should know this by now.
Yeah, that's right. I respect the guests that we had on, but they were like, we're gonna be releasing this thing. Can we come on the show this Thursday? And I was like, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Sure, probably.
Sure.
Maybe.
Balmer,
if it happens, it happens.
We didn't start on time
we're like,
either.
no, the first Thursday and the third Thursday.
We
of
did
the
not
month.
start on time, Bomber. We were like 30 minutes late.
We were even still.
Now, granted, that is on time for us because normally we'd be an hour late. So yes, that was on time for us. But we
tried though. We made the attempt to do the start the show.
Everything was going on schedule. Where it's like 9:50 or 8:59, so ready to go. All of a sudden, Ross is not here yet. I can't get him in.
I can't get him
hold
in.
on. All right, how about we try this? Nope. All right, now Brendan's gone.
I will say I was right.
About what?
No.
You needed to turn it off and turn it on again.
Yeah, you're right.
It worked once we all left and started a new one.
Yep.
So
I always say that too. Is sometimes like it's a common meme or a joke at this point to be like, well, why don't you turn it off and turn it back on again? But the thing is that works.
It's actually in the secret world. She says,
it works.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? No. Shoot yourself.
But also turning it off and turning it back on again could involve other complex methods like that. Like it's not just Yeah. It's just a concept of restarting.
That's not complex. That's literally just turning off the session.
But right, it's just turning off the entire session and turning the session back on again, creating a new session. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Just call up your ISP and say, hey, I'm gonna need you to reset everything.
That's right.
I'm gonna need everyone to turn it off and back on again.
Right. Could you turn everybody off for like just
Can you have an engineer go to the hub?
Turn everybody back on.
The giant South Park modem. We're just gonna
And it's got that one big pool that you see in old scary movies. It sparks.
What's up, Nick?
But yes, we started on time for us.
Oh, yeah, reset. Start the 5th age. There we go.
Yep. Yeah, we were on, like I said, on course to start on 9:00 ish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, because we were all in here like 8:40 or something.
I jumped in like 40
you
minutes
jumped in
early.
before that. I saw you guys in here, but I was trying to make margaritas, so priorities. Priorities.
All the internet. 15 minutes. We need a break. Right, just shut it down. Shut it down. Get everybody to think about their life for a few minutes and then just turn it back on again. It's fine.
You guys should be old enough. Do you remember? I think it's only happened, I recall, maybe once, maybe twice, where like the East and West Coast got separated. Do you guys remember that event?
I think I do. Yeah.
Someone, and I think it was something really dumb, like
It always is.
Someone was like digging in their backyard or some shit, and they fucking hit like a major internet trunk line, and it literally severed the West Coast from the East Coast.
They hit the cable. Yeah, like the primary cable.
Yeah, and like legitimately, like if you were on the West Coast, you could not reach East Coast servers, and vice versa. Like like the country got split in half.
It's probably the guy's like, is that a tree root? Yeah, screw it. Go ahead, just pound it through.
I want to say I read about something like that in Ireland where there were like an entire town lost connection, but only for like 30 minutes on like weekdays or something like that, and even then it was still sporadic. And they were like, how do we figure this out? Why is this happening? And it turned out that like the cable that basically was almost basically supplying the entire town ran like right on the opposite side of the wall of some guy's like really ancient TV that he was turning on to watch like some program at the same time, and that he basically only watched that program and then turn it back off again, and then everyone's internet would pop back on. But it was something like the TV was causing interference to the line, and that was enough to like scramble everybody's internet for like a half hour. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Something like that. What? Yeah. The more you learn about the internet, the more you learn it's actually put together with like,
it's just duct tape.
Toothpicks and duct tape.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. In fact, you don't want to know.
Yeah, you really don't. Yeah, you think it's as good as it is. It's not. It's
yeah. You think it's like this space age material that or is magic to the regular people, but it's not. It's like
just a bunch of
two
shit,
strings.
Like,
it's like two cans in a string
boxes tied together. Like you're like, oh. And like the cross Atlantic cables, like we just put some big cables underwater.
Put giant cables just underwater. Just
it's
what
like,
could go wrong?
Yeah, it's probably fine.
Be like, does it work? Yeah. All right. Sure. It's good. It's good for now.
As long as the line doesn't get on top of like a volcano or a hotspot, it's good.
Spit in something that rhymes with spit.
It's the tots and pears.
Bit.
For some reason, my mind went somewhere much worse.
Well, that's why it took me a second. I had to filter through some things.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, I know what he's trying to say. And yet, it went other bad places. So, yeah. Trying to think of any other news we had.
I'm having a lot of fun playing the game without any text.
I was going to say, Jimmy, yeah, you finished your one run of... your one run, and now you've gone onto your
immediately jumped into no verds.
I was watching you play it. What is no verds?
Okay.
What is all the shenanigans?
The no verds shenanigans is, first of all the text in the game has been removed entirely.
Okay.
So there's no text anywhere. That means like no mission descriptions, no tier prompts. The computers don't have text.
Yeah, I was watching you play it last night, and you got to the point of the you're doing the giant pillars in off the top of my head, I'm forgetting the names of it, but it was the giant rune stones in
Blue Mountain. Strangers
Blue Mountain, yeah. That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And Reddit came up with like, you had to figure out like, oh, here's the riddle, which didn't have any words.
There's 4 answers. They're all blank. I wonder.
4 answers are all blank. Yeah. It's like, which one is it? And it's like, third one, second one.
Let's take a stab at it.
Yeah.
So well, Sam said most of the words. The mod is continuously being updated. When we find when Fox is aware of something that has words that doesn't, he's been pretty good at giving me an updated mod that removes even more words. So the goal is no words. And then additionally, no entities.
That's the part that, at least as much as you can, right?
Yeah, like it just removes the player model, the enemy models, like, and I actually have a toggle where I can toggle on partial models. That's how I get like the eyeballs and teeth floating in the air, which is just makes the animatics funny. Like I don't leave that on when I'm playing because it would make things more visible, right? But like it's really funny for cinematics, so I toggle that on.
Right. So
And
like
then,
in last nights, you got to the point of Beaumont, doing the All Father speech, and
and he looks like it reminds me of like one of the robots from Mystery Science Theater 3000. Like just the way the eyes are like off like this, and then the teeth in the bottom, like, or some kind of weird Muppet.
Right. He's just pointing into the sky. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then I have another toggle that actually will try and remove additional entities.
Okay.
Mostly because Fox really wanted to mess with me. So that other toggle, the primary purpose, it does other things incidentally, but the primary purpose is to remove lasers and mines.
Okay.
So in the normal invisible setting, I can see lasers still. But if I hit that other button, I now can't see the lasers or mines on the ground. Which is really stupid and annoying.
I would say the hard part about this is also trying to find like where are the quest givers, or where is the thing on the ground that you have to click, to.
I would say so far one of the single hardest thing overall is if you miss part of a tier, the mission does not progress because you're not in the next tier yet.
Right.
And it can be really easy to not remember some small tiny step of a specific mission's tier, because when you're doing the mission you always see it, right? It's like the book and then do the other stuff, and no one remembers like clicking the book. You remember the other big events,
right? You remember fighting the thing. Yeah
doing the more active stuff. But some of it is like, oh right, I have to click the map, I have to read the map on the wall and then go run out the door. And you're like, but if you don't read the map and you go run out the door and do a bunch of stuff, like the mission doesn't progress because it's still stuck on the read the map tier. That has happened to me so many times. Specifically the under the Illuminati school, because you open the door to the vault and then you're supposed to run into Beaumont, and I ran in there and Beaumont walks past, disappears, and there's no cinematic, and I'm like, what the actual shit? What is happening? I thought like the mod had broke the game or something, and it turns out like when you first walk into that place, there's like two enemies, and there's a dead guy on the ground with a book, and I guess I had never clicked the book, which is a tier. That's the first tier, and then you collect the items that you unlock the vault door with and run into Beaumont. But because I never clicked the book, none of the other shit mattered. It didn't advance. So, that's the single biggest problem.
I say, but if there's anybody who has run through the game more times, I don't know who they would be than you. Yeah. So you would have the best thought of what to do and remembering just even by like muscle memory at this point.
I did do Hellenbach.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
No crosshair, no yellow highlighting, and the rug was invisible. So the rug on the first puzzle would like roll back over, but I couldn't see it. I would just see the runes because the rug's invisible. And then I'd be like, why is nothing working? Oh, fuck, the rug rolled back. And then to find the rug interaction prompt, and like then I see the shadow unroll or roll up. The shadow of the rug I could see. But yeah, trying to figure out where to click was really, really difficult because, you're trying to click all these different runes and not click the wrong one. And,
right.
And when you have no crosshair,
because it's an entity, it's considered like a person or something. Yeah.
So, but I will say the second Hellenbach puzzle I actually got first try. That was kind of crazy. Like, and I also did Lava Game Champion Invisible. That was cool.
Yeah.
I did Lava Game Champion.
I saw your YouTube of that. Yeah.
Most of the time, I actually had the extra invisible toggle on for that. So the thing that removes lasers and like mines just removes a bunch of entities that have like a certain specific label. So running Lava Game Champion invisible is already a pain because you can't see your character. Like I'm in third person and literally can't see my guy. So you kind of get used to sort of imagining where they are based on like your progression. Like when you move and you run into something, you're like, okay, I feel like I'm about here. So I'm running and now I'm going to jump, but you can't see your guy. Like right now I've been running around with the lightning sprint on because it looks funny. But I mean, that technically helps a little bit because you can sort of see where you are. When I was doing Lava Game Champion, I literally could not see where my guy was. He's just completely invisible.
Right. But also, was it the lightning sprint also affects like the entire environment too? So you start removing items and stuff from around you anyway, and you can see like how it affects the background a lot more too.
Yeah, well, you can see that anyways. Like if you go in Blue Mountain with any of the lightning sprints, or I guess the blue one is whatever reason is the worst. If you go like whenever I would do that lair, the Blue Mountain lair. You go to the summoning spot and stand there with the lightning, and the whole fog area behind you just goes like,
yeah, starts raving out.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then computer prompts. And then in one of his last patches, I used to be able to at least see what I was typing, and now I can't see what I'm typing. So not only is there no. Just so that it was not impossible, I believe what he did is the options all have a dot. So if there's like 1, 2, 3 as like an option that you're supposed to enter, there'll be a dot, 2 dots, and 3 dots or something like that. But there's nothing readable, and there's no and you can't read your text. Which, by the way, also includes when I'm typing in shit into the auction house search. Or even when I log in the game and put in my username, I literally can't see what I'm typing.
It goes hardcore.
So, but yeah, like it was because in the translated one, I was reading like every single text in the game just to see what it was translated to, right? And I was reading multiple mission turn reports for every one because of the mission mod. Or the turn mission report mod. So like I thought it'd be a challenge to try and do stuff without text, and it is. Also, I didn't really anticipate like the whole problem of like trying to buy shit on the auction house without knowing what anything costs or what it is. That's kind of weird. And all the enemies are invisible for the most part. Every once in a while,
I think it's all that their shadows are mostly there when they have shadows in the first place.
Well, that depends on time of day. I'm actually really looking forward to making it to Egypt because I think it'll be easier. It's pretty much always sunny in Egypt, and also Philadelphia, but in this case, sunny. It's sunny in Egypt. But I feel like Egypt will be a little bit easier because it is super bright. And therefore the shadows are a lot sharper. So I think that'll make that a little bit easier. But
right. Just actually to put that on hold, just for a second. While we still have an audience here watching, just want to point out that yes, Vomer's Love on Gaia writing contest is still going on until April 22nd. So,
wait, can I write an invisible story? Just submit a blank Word document.
Judges
Thought I'd
say.
also put that out there. But yes, the Love on Gaia writing contest still going on until April 22nd. Check out the forum post and submit story entries while you can for multiple different types, multiple different criteria, and yeah, still going on.
Yeah, bummer. It'll have the words. You just won't be able to see them. Totally fine.
It's invisible writing. The words are there. Trust us.
Trust us.
Trust us.
Just write a normal story while your monitor is turned off, then submit it and see what people think. I like it.
Just type it. Be like blah 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 blah.
Just open a Google Doc, throw a sheet over your monitor, and just start typing away. You see what happens.
Well, they do say love is blind.
True.
I like that. But all right, yeah, no, I wanted to get that out right because before I forgot.
Yeah, of course.
Right. That is something that is still going on. That is actually news.
Real big shoe.
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say being invisible isn't news? Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, I also did the E17 New York raid invisible.
It totally
that
is.
was interesting.
Yes, I saw that too. Yeah.
Mostly
Again,
because I
figured
realize
that was just total muscle memory. Be like, and everything's going to be over here, and then go over here, and then go over here, and then right.
I didn't realize though it was going to break the mods that I use to help do callouts. And it did. So I had no idea of the lurker's health percentage or like when personal space was going to happen or when final resort was going to happen. Like I was just like, shit, that's not working.
Yeah, I think I heard you say at one point you're like, can someone else call it out? Like when it.
Yeah, I was
when
like, I
happens.
can't tell when because like. So if you're not aware from running like E17 raid, it's important to know when the boss is at a certain HP percentage because that's when you know the certain next phase is going to start, and you need everyone to be prepared to move out of the way. So normally that's what I would be doing. I would be saying, personal space soon, personal space now, and I'm like, I don't know when the fuck that is because he still says 100% health for me. That thing hasn't moved.
Right, be like, are we fighting this guy? What's happening? Yeah.
So yeah, that was entertaining. And then this week's raid, I made everyone Dave's Creed. That was pretty funny. So I managed to remove the invisible stuff, which took a little bit actually. I got everything back to visible and working, and then I made us all Dave Screed. So Screed finally got his revenge on the lurker. I thought it was pretty funny.
Be like, he knew all along.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying the invisible stuff because it's certainly challenging. You never really know when something's going to hit you or if you're hitting the thing back.
I mean, I saw you were fighting the Akab, or you were fighting some Akab, and it was like,
yeah,
their outline charge. I mean, that's an easy way to tell.
The outline charge helps, but then they have, I don't know, they turn weird because if you go to the end of the outline charge and start punching, it works like one time, and then all of a sudden it doesn't, and I have to turn. So I think when they do the end of their charge, they then must turn around or something, and not just turn around straight, but like maybe like curve around, circle around or something, because they end up not being in that spot to punch. They come at you from a different angle or something. Also, I found as much as I like Domino, or I think it's called Pandemonium now, but like as much as I like that AoE like knockdown stun, it tends to shove things like off to the side or behind me, and then I don't know where they are.
Do we want? Brennan is asking if you want to come back.
Sure.
Back on for a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? We're still here.
But yeah, it's been pretty cool. I'm looking forward to getting to Egypt. Should be fun.
Nice. Yeah, which should be easier.
There
I
it
think
is.
so. I definitely am learning.
Maybe different challenges.
I'm learning a lot more about the tiers. I'm learning a lot more about all the little tiers, and learning to listen to audio dings for when tiers complete. That's a big thing too.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes ding. You're like, aha, next tier. What the hell's the next tier? I don't remember, but I'm on the next one.
Welcome back.
Hold on.
Well, thank you for having me back.
Hey. Long time.
What did I miss?
No see. Haven't seen you on the show.
What exciting things did they say?
Do you want us to be honest?
What did I get on the hook for?
We were promised Saeed sex cults.
We promised to do 20 more books tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah,
Saeed sex cults.
Yes.
Forcing
did
everyone to
promise.
buy 13 books each. Yeah.
Also, a fistful of squishable puddle pizza.
Right, that was a thing.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
That's supposed to be the name
Why
of Scrib's.
Why am I hearing myself a second time?
Are you in Discord and not muted or not deafened? You're not deafened in Discord. That's
Yeah, you're not
but I'm
deafened.
muted there.
You're muted, but you're not deafened.
Well, now I'm not in Discord at all.
Well, fine.
No. I mean,
I guess
that could work too.
I
I mean, we went off of our rails like we normally do.
I didn't know we had rails.
Yeah.
They're
really, it's more like bumpers, but
Wait,
even
there's rails?
Yeah. A third rail.
I'm still hearing myself, and I deafened myself.
You're still hearing yourself?
Oh,
I don't know.
Shouldn't be, but
Your inner monologue is really loud. It's fine.
it happens.
do you have like a tab open?
I've logged out of Discord now. And I still hear myself.
Really?
So weird.
Do you still have the?
I figured it out. I'm an idiot. I had clicked the website to see if you guys were on. It was broadcasting to myself.
There you go.
I'm not
I'll
a tech guy.
It's all
That
good.
explains it.
It's all good. But yes, welcome back.
Now I can't hear myself at all.
Now we're
This is
just
weird.
Now we're just talking about what we normally talk about, which is shenanigans.
Me doing dumb shit in the game.
I would say Jimmy is currently doing a run through Secret World where he pretty much has everything invisible, and most characters are nothing but eyes and teeth. It is
There's no text at all.
and no text whatsoever. But Jimmy is basically.
If you thought the game was hard to play before, at least colors aren't a problem. Like being colorblind's not an issue because there's really nothing to differentiate. You just sort of guess at what equipment and abilities you should put on.
Right. Should I put on this item or this item? It really doesn't matter. Whatever works.
Yeah, I can't tell.
I'll say, but Jimmy has run through the game countless times. Could you even give yourself a number as how many times you've actually run through?
I think I'm verging over like 20 characters now. It's something, and like the meme runs are at least in. Am I in double digits of meme runs finally or something? I'm not even sure. There's been so many.
So many.
so many. Deathless, Pacifist, Offhand Only, 1IP.
I made it back. I don't know what's going on tonight.
Shit, I don't.
Okay.
There's.
I mean, it's a night of
more.
difficulties.
The troubles.
Lots
We got
of
through.
dumb ways to play the game. Still having internet or issues, or
No, I thought I was having a problem that I wasn't having because I didn't realize I left the broadcast on. So then I clicked out everything. And basically, I was just listening to you guys twice. That was my fault.
No worries.
It happens. It's all good.
I usually just ignore the voices in my head as well.
The voices in my head are what write all my games.
I'll say, but Brandon, you were saying before how the short version was that your wife is actually a big Secret World player.
Oh yeah, my wife played the heck out of the game multiple times. Hey honey, how many characters do you have in the Secret World? They're like level 50, just 1 or 2? 3, sorry.
I'm Diamond.
I think she did one from each faction, I think, especially when she loves the Illuminati though.
Illuminati.
I
okay.
mean,
Hey, hold on.
Good
only
choice.
one.
Good choice.
Only one from each faction.
Well, she does take care of everything else in the household for me, so limited time, I suppose.
Then you need to step up your game so she can play more characters.
Right. I need everyone to buy an extra 20 copies of the book so I can only do this.
Yeah. Well, we already established that in order to not be Scrib's mortal enemy, people need to buy 13 copies a person.
It's specifically 13 copies, I understand.
Yeah, that's what he said. To
make a proper summoning circle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That might be something to that.
Which, oddly enough, was him answering an actual question from the audience, where they asked how many copies did they need to buy to not be his mortal enemy.
Like you said, 13. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good round figure.
Waffle has been turned into Sonic.
That's also fun. If you start spinning a little ball and bouncing off the walls, though, that's a different thing.
No. Sonic, the Templar faction leader.
Oh, okay. So, I saw a guy zipping by the screen. It's like said Sonic the Hedgehog.
We've all been turned into one of the faction leaders.
Oh yeah, sure, that can happen.
Ocho's Kirsten. I'm Diamond. Let's see. I will hip hop dance as Diamond. That seems appropriate. That means one of the devs is in here playing with our characters.
Oh, I can see it now. The screen's so small.
Yeah, Waffle needs to zoom in already.
That's what she said.
That's the only way she gets the size she needs.
That's a whole nother conversation. I'll let you guys have to yourselves.
Yeah, no. Periodically, the devs like coming in and messing with us. I'm surprised they didn't mess with us a little earlier, but so it goes.
That's cool. I had a great dev experience back in the Star Wars Galaxies days. If you guys probably don't remember that game.
Nice. Okay.
I remember that game.
Yeah.
There's actually still a popular. I know there's a pretty popular private server for Star Wars Galaxies right now. That even has like content that they actually started including. Like they started making new content for the game itself that wasn't in the original Star Wars Galaxies.
Isn't that the one where you could like fly across a planet like in real time?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. It is. I think it is still, or likely still, one of the largest MMOs landmass wise to explore. Tatooine took forever to run across back in the day, and I won't talk too much about Star Wars in the Secret World.
Nope. But so back in the day, my brother.
It's okay.
My brother and my friend used to play that on my computer, like when I was at work or something. Mm-hmm. And I would always hear them talking about the red screwdriver. And I was like, what the hell is the red screwdriver in Star Wars Galaxies? And it turned out it was not in Star Wars Galaxies. They just had a red screwdriver they would set on the keyboard on the arrow key and then walk away so that it was flying across the planet. It was a literal red screwdriver.
I played in an all Stormtrooper guild. We hunted Jedi back when if you died, you couldn't play one again.
Oh.
'Cause
Oh,
we
Oh,
played a
permadeath.
character 100% of the time, which means we had the crappiest armor in the game because you had to earn your armor, and it was less quality than what anyone else could get by making their armor. It took 30 of us to kill a Jedi though, because the Jedis were that badass in the game.
I'll say, yeah, I remember they made it like really hard to be a Jedi in the game itself. They made it like, because they wanted it to be this like super special, thing where all of a sudden, yeah, if a Jedi suddenly arrived in some like combat situation or whatnot, that they would just roll face,
We had the devs had 2 different times the devs had Darth Vader visit our it was called Alpha Company. There's still videos up on it on YouTube of the group, but yeah, Darth Vader visited, and it was all text chat. There was no voice, typing and stuff. People complained, why do they get a Darth Vader visit? And we would take hours of our game session to show up for events that the devs asked us to in our uniforms and role play stormtroopers to fill in the events. So
yeah, like that's why.
little reward to us, because we stood around for an Imperial wedding for 4 hours or something ridiculous, standing there in character and moving around to make it appropriate. We used to go through Tatooine and go, papers please, papers please.
I'm not the droid you're looking for.
Yeah, we and it was just fun. It was a good time. So role playing characters and stuff like that in video games, that was awesome.
It goes back, it goes back a ways.
Brings story and content to the game that wasn't there that we added to it. That's what was fun.
So I'm going to create some familial drama here. Your wife says her favorite is Illuminati. What is your favorite faction?
The best faction, the Templar.
The best at dying.
I just got the death glare. I just got the death glare.
The best at dying.
That's Irachi.
Well, yeah.
Templar's red shirts.
I so have plans for them in the future if we can get to it. That's all I'll say. I would love to get to a whole thing about them. I would love to make them a playable option in the future, but as all things,
Orochi? Oh yeah.
So you can,
or even
you
one
have
like
to have rules.
I'm
So
sorry.
you'd have to have rules where where every time you die, you just play another one.
Right.
It's like the evil twin. It's like, oh.
I love all the factions. I've played through every single faction probably like I don't know, 6-7 times or something. I genuinely like them all, but my main character is a dragon, and I think after all these playthroughs, like I tend to recommend, at least if it doesn't like offend your sensibilities or something. I tend to recommend Dragon only because Templar and Illuminati are kind of known quantities.
Yeah.
Both outside of the game, right? Outside of Secret World, Templar and Illuminati.
Right. The Templars have a long history in real life, and Illuminati also have history.
Right. And in the game, they both know about each other as well, right? But neither of them know about the dragon, other than the dragon's like inscrutable. So really,
it's a thing. Yeah.
The only way to know anything about the dragon in Secret World is to play one. So I recommend playing all the factions through, because you won't actually get a full scope of the game's information without playing each faction side. But personally,
I'll just read the papers that Funcom gives me, and I'll be happy.
Well, actually, interestingly enough, I used it on my last playthrough. There is a mod for the game that lets you read the mission turn-in reports from every faction whenever you do a mission. So you can like tab through them.
So you could play one character and get all.
Yeah, you could play one. You wouldn't get all the cinematics or anything like that, but you would get all the mission turn-in reports. You would be able to read all 3 whenever you turn in a mission, and there is a lot. There's a lot of information they pack into those, and it's not the same for all the factions. And not just a little bit different. Sometimes like vastly different. Completely different subjects or something. So if you really want to know the full scope of the lore of the game, it's handy.
True. Nice. Yeah. But you've also been playing with many different mods lately.
Well, yeah.
But that's a good
Listen. When you have 15,000 hours in Secret World, you've got to do some things to spice up the relationship. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
It's now time to pull out the toys.
Sounds like a marriage right there.
It's more than just a relationship. Yeah.
You got to spice things up a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I have done. Dude, I've played the game on bananas. I've played the game upside down. Like, I've played the game on a rubber chicken. I gotta keep finding different things to do.
So that's why you mentioned Star Wars Galaxies. I have dabbled a little in Star Wars Galaxies. I have not actually done that much.
I have observed the red screwdriver effect. That is my
yes.
extent of my knowledge.
It was just cool because of the world. The world, you could just do so much in it.
Yeah, I mean that's it's almost legendary for basically how much of a sandbox it was. Yeah.
Bummer.
But that's where my specifics lie, is that I have a experience in a lot of different MMOs. I play, like right now I've got like 7 MMOs I'm playing simultaneously. Not well, mind you, but you know, not at some ridiculously high level, mind you, but I
like Age of Conan because of the building aspect. Because you can build your own structures, castles, and explore. Unfortunately, it doesn't have much else to do. I mean, the dungeons, after a while, are either too hard if you don't have a giant group, or too easy if you make mods that let you build. Then you become too powerful to play the dungeons. It's kind of you either want to be a builder or a hunter, and that's kind of, you got to kind of split the difference.
I was just saying, are you talking about Age of Conan or Conan Exiles?
Conan Exiles, sorry. Conan Exiles.
Okay.
Oh, yep, yeah.
It's all Conan, whatever.
Conan Exiles really, like, I did play that for a while. I would still probably go at some point. But my biggest problem was accidentally dodge rolling backwards off of things and dying to fall damage. That was literally my biggest problem, because in Legends you hit Alt to get to like mouse menu stuff. Mm-hmm. And Alt in Exiles is backwards roll. And my base is a tree fort. And I would always be on the edge of the base and be like, oh, I need to click something in the menu, and hit Alt out of like habit and just backwards roll off the top of the goddamn base and fall to my death.
That's why you remap all your keys.
Inevitably have not clicked the bedroll and respawn like at the opposite side of the fucking place in the mountains, and have to naked run all the way back to the base, climb up, get all my stuff back, and then accidentally hit Alt again. So that's my.
I'll say, I'm not gonna lie, but one of the things about Conan Exiles that you can do is you can edit you could basically say, like, you know, oh, I'm of the if you're playing on your own PC, you don't have to play on an official server, and so you can change around some of the settings. And one of the settings that I changed around was, if I die, just give me my stuff back. There's a setting where you don't lose all your stuff on death. I was like, yeah, just let me pick that. I'm just gonna play it that way. That's fine.
That was one thing Stars was terrible with. The corpse runs were legendary.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Go get your stuff because you died.
I think the most viewed video on my YouTube channel is my Conan Exiles bridge video, because I think partially because it's not possible anymore. I built it during the early access when you could still build the old bridge structures, which are basically indestructible. I think they stopped letting you build by them because people would build bases into the indestructible stuff.
Well, again, but that's also a setting that you could change now too, where you could set to build anywhere.
In early access, I didn't mess with that stuff. I was playing with everything on vanilla and literally farming materials for days, and I rebuilt all those bridges. Like I literally just scaffolded up and like built the flooring. Just it was the Great Bridge Reconstruction Project, and I made a YouTube video that like shows me walking across like the huge reconstructed bridge, like way across the thing, and I still get do it anymore. You haven't been able to do it for a couple of years.
Now you can build bridges of unlimited length again. So, or I don't know if that's a glitch, but so you could rebuild we were building out one time. We were like 100 tiles up in the air before we cut it off. Straight.
Oh, like you don't need supports?
Nope.
Yeah, I had to build supports for mine. Like,
might be a mod I'm running. I don't know. I got a couple of mods running, but yeah, I don't need supports anymore.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Just like floating infinite, like
infinite forever, ridiculously long, and then but you cut it off at the beginning. The whole thing disappears in a puff of smoke.
Oh,
it is one of the fun things about Conan Exiles is you can play it seriously, or you could be like, I just want to f around.
Also,
that's fine.
One of the best rock climbing simulators I've played is Conan Exiles.
Yeah, you're getting tired as you climb. You gotta pace it out and find places to rest. You really
gotta plan your moves to the next spot where you can recover stamina. Like, as someone that used to rock climb, like I genuinely like, holy shit, this is a lot like when I would in real life look at a rock and try and figure out
how am I gonna do that,
how to scale it. Yeah, it's like it's eerily similar to the same mental process. I was like, this is actually really fun.
Also, it's incredibly relaxing to gather resources to build your castle or whatnot. I built a castle in that game. I don't know. Did you play in the Isle of Sipta expansion at all?
A little bit. Most of my time was before that, but when I did come back to it for Isle of Sipta for a little bit.
There's a little island called the Violet Isle, and I built on it because it has water all around, so it gave me like a moat. And I built the castle on that, and then I built like a walls and structure that was like try to give you scale of it. It was the entire island I built the castle onto, basically.
Oh wow!
So I would spend every night gathering like 50 to 100,000 rock and wood, put it in the kiln the next day and do it for 4 months to build that thing, and that was times 2 resources.
My gosh. Okay.
I had 400 hours to build that castle, and then the guy who was running the server decided he didn't want to run it anymore, and so I was like, well. So the next server, I just turned on cheats and just build stuff in creative mode. I'm like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
You're like, well,
you're like, fine, I'll just,
But taking it back to the Secret World, I think I would love if they took everything they had, video game wise, and gave you that sort of like ability to maybe not build structures like that, but live in the world a little bit more. And make it more your own, like if they were to redo the game kind of thing, which I have zero knowledge of, and everything I say is just something I would like. Fun comments told me absolutely nothing about that, and I am not suggesting that they're going to do that in any way. Just to be clear, I don't get in trouble later.
I've always thought that this Secret World Legends, as compared to the original Secret World, is one that actually is still in active development, although relatively slower active development, but active development nonetheless. I always thought that really the future of Secret World, as far as the where the story goes or where all that goes, is not necessarily going to be in this game per se, but it's going to be in like they've released Moons of Madness, they released The Park, they released other games. That it would be in other future games of just a perpetuation of the series.
The IP as a whole,
Yeah, the continuation of the IP, just not necessarily in Secret World Legends or itself. This is sort of the whole point of a saying before, like how a rising tide raises all boats, in that you start getting more people into the tabletop. They bring people into the MMO. More people in the MMO just encourages more people to be in the MMO, which encourages more people to go to the tabletop. And it's a positive feedback loop. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. The guy that I don't know personally at all, but that runs Savage Worlds, Shane Hensley. When you talk to him about trying to do new ideas, or I want to do this, am I allowed to do that? His attitude is exactly what he said. I heard his statement is, a rising tide lifts all boats. He feels that more in the industry helps build it versus you're not really competing, because if I do the Secret World, say for Savage Worlds in the future, which we're definitely talking about doing here, it's only going to bring more people to play Savage Worlds who maybe didn't experience it before. And vice versa, So
oh yeah. And right, so people would try out Secret World, so they might try out Saints and Sinners, so they might try out Knights Arcanum, they might try out your other products as well. It's that you see it in in real life. If you see it, like, you wonder why you go to certain place, like you go to like McDonald's or something like that, and then there's always either like a Burger King or a Taco Bell or something, like some other fast food nearby, like right next door, and you think like, why would they decide to build literally right next door to a competitor? And it's actually because having a competitor right next door to you raises your own. They found that in places like that not only did it, not only were the competitors successful, but they were also like raising the profits of the original store itself. And just having them near each other was enough to actually draw in more customers overall.
Yeah, what if your wife wants McDonald's fries and your kids want Burger King, or you can hit them all anyway.
Yeah. I will tell you, it is not uncommon for me on the weekend to go out to pick up dinner and be hitting 3 different fast food places in a row and come back.
That's healthy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a healthy spread. It's a healthy.
It's healthier, right?
Mm-hmm. As a nurse, I'll tell you that's a lie.
It's very diverse, if nothing else.
It's diverse. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it truly is.
Right.
The main ingredient, salt.
We call that a highway run. When you make a highway run, you just make hit the multiple places on the highway.
Yeah, my wife's not about that. She's like, if she was gonna do it, it'd be one place. Screw you, you're all getting this. It's never been a thing that bothered me. I'm like, yeah, I'll go like 5 different places. I don't care.
Oh, I hate it. I have 4 kids, and they're all like they each want to go to a different restaurant, and every restaurant will have a 20-minute wait because it's the busiest time of night when we go. So instead of being fast food, it's an hour trip.
I only have 2. I only have 2 kids, but specifically one of them always wants something from one place and the other place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not even like one place a kid. It's one place, and that kid wants 2 places. He's like, well, I want KFC, but I want the cheese sticks from Arby's.
Yeah, sounds fair.
And that's why he gets a cheese stick tax. And
I think our max is 2 places. You can only go 2 places.
I've tried
any more. That's it.
I said 3 is pretty common for me.
Now you talk about the cheese stick tax. When my kids get McDonald's, there's a fry tax. I said, I got you McDonald's. Cough up a fry. Cough up some fries.
And that's fry tax is universal. It's true. Yeah,
that's a fry tax. Always. Before they get cold. Once they're cold, they can keep them.
I have found McDonald's fries are not only good, but because they're, I don't know, basically fake food, you can microwave them and they actually are about the same.
No.
If you have an air fryer, that's better.
No, like, listen, most fries you microwave, they're shit. McDonald's fries are like plastic or something. It doesn't matter.
It's true, but most fries do not reheat well.
Most fries don't reheat. You go McDonald's fries
air fryer
are not
or
real
oven.
Fries. They're some sort of, I don't know. I saw a thing. I saw like a documentary.
They're laser cut potatoes.
They don't mold. They don't mold. They fucking stay like that for like 8 months or something crazy.
They're probably, it's because they're probably mostly filler. They're probably mostly what is microcrystalline cellulose, which is sawdust.
But
cellulose is a filler in a lot of stuff. Cellulose is a common filler in actually most drugs, because our bodies don't interact with it like at all, and that's why they use it as a primary filler. Like it's what most placebos when you're doing drug studies, what the placebos are actually filled with is actually just cellulose.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I've discovered it doesn't work for like anywhere else, but McDonald's, I'll pop them in the microwave for like 10 seconds, and then it's
Like just the same as they were.
just as good. Like, all right, cool.
No, they're not. They're terrible. Like rubber after that. I don't know what world you
No,
live in.
if you over microwave them, yes. That's why I said like 10 seconds. You can't put them in there for too long. They will like nuke. Yeah,
You can
that is
only
a problem.
do it in an oven. An oven is the
I
way
feel
to
like that
resuscitate
about
fries.
chicken nuggets. The chicken nuggets you can't microwave. That's gross. But the fries somehow keep their.
This is where the air fryer comes in handy.
Yeah.
The air
Or you know what
fryer,
else works? Like
it's basically a
toaster
small
oven.
oven.
Toaster oven.
Toaster
works.
oven. Yeah.
Especially for nuggets, because then they crisp back up.
Well, now that we solved that problem.
Yeah. Listen,
Everything
we're
is
talking
right
about
in the world again.
the important topics, which is how do you reheat that 3 a.m. food?
I know. I, for one, am excited now.
Solving the world's issues one off the rails cast at a time. It's fine. It's fine.
One fry at a
Everything's
time.
fine.
I did want to make the connection from our prior conversation of Conan Exiles to Secret World, which is that they stole the Locust model from Secret World for Conan Exiles. In case anyone still wasn't aware of that. If you find if you go find the Locusts in Conan Exiles, it's the same model as the giant ones in Egypt in Secret World. Like
I was talking to, I think I might have been talking to Vomer about this. In that, but that could also be an original model from
Age of Conan.
From Age of Conan, yeah. Which
well,
so because there's a lot of stuff in Age of Conan that made its way into Secret World, and then also made its way into Conan Exiles.
And Exiles, I believe, didn't Exiles? I want to say they backported stuff from Exiles into Age of Conan as well, or something.
So what you're saying is the third age of the Secret World was Conan.
Yes.
It's all tied together. Everything
Which is
is
what
true.
I believe is actually where Scriv started.
Yeah, Scriv wrote up for Age of Conan.
Yeah, Scriv started in Age of Conan, and then they had, while he was still on Age of Conan, he came on to do the buzzing.
So not only did they backport models, they backported Scriv.
That's right.
Scriv. That's right. And then on Moons of Madness as well. So he got front ported.
I don't know.
That's right.
Is that a thing?
Is that a thing we want to say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Breaking news! Breaking news!
Yes.
Scriptomancer front ported.
Front ported to Moons of Madness.
Wake up to find us out today.
Conan Exiles also use Hell as a basis for Decreto, and the bunnies and kitties are upscaled. Yep. Yeah. But the Bat Demons in Conan Exiles are the Bat Demons from Age of Conan. Yeah.
Yeah. They. I mean,
it's not a weird thing though. I mean, it's just basically they reuse assets, but they own all the games. It's fine. You know, reusing assets is just
it's par for
I don't reuse
Makes
assets
sense.
like the ones I did on the cover. Never.
Like
never.
Wow.
They gave me a good chunk of art. We're going to use what we can because art is probably one of the single most expensive things you can do for the game.
Yeah.
That is killer.
Why wouldn't they reuse it?
Which unfortunately was a big problem with the Secret World's viability. Was the cost to make the DLCs? They never got their return on the DLCs.
Yeah, they never recouped them.
The only thing that kept them from being in the red was the microtransactions in the original game, but the DLC sales itself never came close to paying for the development of the DLC, which is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, no company, I don't care who you are. And this was the argument I had with people when we first started talking about doing this for the Secret World was, well, why are you picking 5e and why are you doing this? Because it's going to be expensive if we're going to do it right. I'm not. I mean, I could have. You want to see me do this in my garage in 4 years? You'll have it. Sure. My contract will expire before it's done. There will be no art and no editing, and I mean, art and writing, layout, editing. Having someone like Josh Scriv there to look at the lore as well. The advertising we did before we launched it. I mean, there's just all that stuff, and it just adds up to quite a bit more than people would suspect. And I'm not saying it's all people, but there are many people I think that want a book for $30 that, if you broke it down, cost like $60 a person to make. That's not, I'm not giving you real. I'm exaggerating to make a point.
Right.
The cost is far more than people think it is. And then if we had sold 20,000 copies, well, then the cost per copy to the cost overall per unit would come down so much that we'd have that affordability to do more. And I'm not complaining. We did great. I'm super happy for our first Kickstarter to be so successful and be able to get this done. But you can do more if you have more people back it. You could do less if you don't. And
sure,
we're just lucky we did enough that not only we can make the game and make it well, that I think we can keep doing this. So, but it's not. We had to pick something we knew would succeed. The OGL fiasco notwithstanding.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But the Kickstarter ended with 1,944 backers, totaling 154,633. That's 386% of the initial 40,000 goal. So, just all around a success. The thing about Secret World is that Secret World for Funcom is such a unique IP and such a nice, like, it's got nice deep lore. It's got tones of everything else, like they use a real world, they use this, they use real legends and this and that. So it does have tones of other things, but it is packaged in such a way where it's actually just this totally unique thing. And I always say it's one of Funcom's best IPs. And hold on a second.
The writing is absolutely ruined other games for me, to be perfectly honest. I have a hard time playing other games that I used to, I could play it because I wouldn't expect the game to have super deep or be well written, and then Secret World happened, and I can't go back. I can't go back.
Yeah, you're like, those games are just not as well written, or not as deep, and not as
I'm not like I'll read like a mission thing and want to like shove a pencil in my eye. I'm like, what the hell is this shit? I just can't do it. I'm like, no, my standard is higher now.
I think that's the one thing I'm super happy to be able to do the tabletop is, while each book will contain a set amount, obviously, the fact that we can keep adding to that, and the fact that we can cover things in some detail that the game as a whole, of course, has more lore than we're ever going to fit in one book. But as we do these books, we can really drill down and focus in areas that the game either hinted at, or maybe the players hope they would go that way, but that we can build up into this world so much. And then when the players play it, because they'll have that person running the game versus a computer, your imagination will be the limit to how much more you can explore the Secret World now. So that's going to be neat, and to see what people do with it once we put it out there, and see what other people I'll read. I hope to read their adventures they're running and stories they're coming up with, and just see what way they take it. I mean, I feel that for any game that I'm working on right now, but especially something like this where there's such a strong fan base with strong opinions about what should be.
And that's why, is because once you start delving into this game, once you start delving into the Secret World and the lore, like, it gets addictive. Is a sort of one way to put it for this game. Is that and that's why it's like, oh, well, we're going to create a tabletop, and people are clamoring for that. People are clamoring for any new stuff to come out of the Secret World IP, because it is it expands it, and anything. It's sort of like the concept of like Amazon created the Rings of Power show, or you keep seeing new Star Wars stuff or new whatever come out, and it's like, oh, why do they keep creating stuff to do that? It's like it's because it just expands. It expands the universes. It expands the world, and any expansion. It can be argued that the product itself, it may not be perfect. It's not going to be the best TV. It's not going to be the best show. It's not going to be the best movies or what have you. But it still expands the world and it expands the universe, and that alone is a good thing. Just to have more. I mean, it's not going to all be perfect as much as we would want it to be perfect, but having that is still just the fact that it exists makes it better and enriches the entire experience. And that's why people, I think, really clamor, and that's why people are such still big fans of this game, and why we still have such a dedicated and a big community as we do, is because we just want to see it expanded. We just want to see more. We just want to see just more in Secret
more
World.
of it, more of what you like. Is if you talk about, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, please.
When you talk about the RPG or any other material expanding the universe, there was a period of time. I remember reading this in an article, so it's not my own brainchild, and I don't remember the exact quotes, but there was a period of time when Star Wars, the movies were out, but they were done, and there wasn't new movies on the horizon for a while. And West End Games made the Star Wars role-playing game. And there was a period of time where that was the only strong source of new material for Star Wars, and it kept in the public's conscience for a long time. And actually, one of the lead guys on that project was eventually hired by Lucasfilm to be the curator of their lore. And many of the things that you see in those books are used in the movies and TV shows now because they did such a good job of putting that together. And while I would hope that we could be that cool with the Secret World with what we do, I won't say that it will be that amazing.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe something like us doing this can be something that gets into enough people's, like we talked about, get more people to know about it, that maybe it brings something else along the way that maybe not what we do is what's important, but someone else comes along and goes, I saw that was cool, and they do something that's even bigger that brings Secret World back in some way, shape, or form even bigger. And I don't know what that media might be, but maybe that comes back another video game, a movie, a TV show, because they saw this and they wouldn't have known about it if not.
I mean, heck, there was even an idea for a Secret World TV show that was
Johnny Depp was going to do it.
Yeah, that was in such
production company.
It was pre-production, yeah. But of course, we never really heard anything more of that, so we figure that fell through.
It's kind
completely.
of like a dead. Yeah.
But
they still have the rights to do the TV show, though.
What was that?
But you just can't tell with that stuff though, because some of that shit sits forever. And you think it's dead, and it's just, and it may well be, but some stuff like that just is in limbo,
or just waiting for the
eternity.
right time.
Yeah, for the right time, or the right changing of like producers or something, and then someone goes, "Yeah, okay," and greenlights it, and then there you go.
Maybe they were waiting for like the show Supernatural to actually end, because basically, the elevator pitch for Secret World is like kind of like it's very Supernatural like.
Could you imagine a show that's about conspiracy theories today? I can't imagine that show having any traction in today's environment.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, it would be ideal to have that show out now, and people would be watching and go, is this like a documentary?
Right.
Yeah. It'd be a little too on the nose.
No, you could totally see Secret World as like a Netflix or like what, HBO Max or something.
HBO Max or something, yeah,
kind of series.
You'd have to have someone like HBO Max who can go the same depths of depravity that they did with Game of Thrones before you could really make the Secret World.
I was gonna say more like Doom Patrol, but they got to get weird with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of them are sort of weird at this point. If you look at like Amazon's like The Boys or something, and Netflix had really good. And Netflix like Daredevil or something like that. Like they came out and it was sort of like whoa, these are,
They did also, go a bit dark.
You just kind of compare Daredevil to The Boys, and Not right.
Now,
it was
wait
pretty
a minute.
dark.
But Daredevil is one of Netflix's first like real
It
forays
is
into.
dark for like Marvel on Netflix, but it's
That's
not
what it
dark.
was. Yeah,
It's
But
not
it's not.
dark.
It's not dark
compared
like
to
the boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Netflix Daredevil, when Fisk is slamming a guy's head in the door until it turns to mush, that's pretty dark. It may not have been
It's-
every episode, but that was pretty intense.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, it was really good, and it had intense scenes, but it's just not the same level as The Boys. Is all I'm saying.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it
the
took time
boys
to
are
get
Yeah,
on
the
like a whole
boys.
nother
That's
level.
like every episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Boys.
has-
That's where it starts. Like that. I mean, you don't normally see like a guy shrink down into someone else's urethra and then sneeze and explode and shower them everywhere. Like, like there's just things that you wouldn't see on Daredevil. Okay.
That's true.
yeah.
Cocaine's a hell of a
Thank
drug.
goodness.
Right. But my point was that basically that they're they're all sort of like every streaming service can get a little like that now. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have
they
ratings. They can do
can
what they want.
explore the whole darkness now and create darker
I
stuff
actually
because
genuinely, I don't know if you guys have seen Doom Patrol on HBO Max, but it's not only was it like a favorite comic of mine, but it's really good, and it's also really off the wall and kind of bizarre.
I've watched it, and I have to say, for a comic book series based off a comic book, it actually is not as far as think like The Boys.
Right, it's just weird.
It's like PG-13, maybe R. Most of it's just language. Sometimes with violence, but it's in a rare occasion. But it delves into like deeper, like plot
personal,
lines. Personal type of storylines that is actually very interesting when you get past the farting goat and the alternate dimension and stuff like that. But
and the butts.
Yeah, and butts.
the roving walking butts.
You keep saying Doom Patrol, but yet in my head I keep thinking Paw Patrol.
No,
And
it's Doom.
Same
Doom
thing.
Patrol.
It's the same thing, really.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's
but genuinely, like what? And honestly, that's one of the reasons, or the reason I picked up Secret World as a game back when I saw it on Steam, was because of the comic book covers they had for the DLCs, and they also used to have little mini comics.
The issues,
with them. Yeah, I mean, it's not really an issue, but like maybe like 3 pages or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what attracted me, because I'm a big comic book fan.
Mm-hmm. And it was also sort of pushing the concept that we are, in a sense, like the game is it's horror, it's this, it's that, but we play superheroes essentially. We play we play essentially superheroes.
I mean, they do kind of like tease
in
that
a horror world.
They tease that / mock it like a bunch in the different mission cinematics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they talk about the superheroes showing up, or the flying in.
The cavalry's arrived. Yeah.
I think Danny Dufresne asked if you have a cape or something like that. Like there's lots of like sort of tongue in cheek references, like intentionally, to whether to the idea that you're sort of superhero-ish, but by this at the same time, like knocking it down is like foolish, because obviously you're not a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Katana Boy and Headphones Girl.
That's where I really like the idea of that superhero, but also when I see it, I also think like when I talked about wanting to do like the Third Age, these characters in the Third Age would be very much the epic fantasy heroes that we play in Dungeons and Dragons or any other fantasy-based game. I mean, they got powers. Melee weapons are a primary focus for many of them, and the way things work. I mean, you would just imagine it would translate really well into a past setting. In some ways, it would seem more natural because we are so trained by fantasy tropes to expect that.
Right.
I will say that is one of the other like sort of attractive things about Secret World as an MMO is that there's really not anything in the same setting. Like almost most stuff is either like fantasy, like straight up more like medieval fantasy,
Right, high
sort of
high
stuff, like
fantasy,
high
elves,
fantasy,
dwarves, yeah.
or it's like Mass Effect style or something, right? Or it's super future. You don't really have this sort of like supernatural sort of set in modern times, like
In
Cthulhu
modern,
shit. Like,
yeah.
isn't with like other myths and legends, like isn't a thing that's really explored, which
Yeah,
is
that's why I
kind of
say it's
strange.
so unique in that sense. It's so unique. It's so
But it's why I mentioned the Supernatural TV show, because it is the other thing that's in that same space. It's not in the game space, right? But it's the only other thing I can really think of in that same genre, if you will, of
Mhm.
like current time, but myths and legends,
but
sort
working
of.
with myths and legends, yeah.
Buffy
Right.
the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, to an extent, not the same extent.
But
I
it's
think
it's around the same
it's
ideas,
it's
yeah.
and I think it's just more focused, right? It's like
Mhm.
not that they didn't have anything else. Like they had like what, like you have like a werewolf or something, or maybe like a
Vampires, werewolves,
witch
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
But like
Vampires,
the
werewolves, demons, wolves. It was more the
it was super
core
focused.
creatures, and hell was trying to take over, but it was a
Yeah,
core basic
Yeah.
group of supernatural
it
creatures,
wasn't.
more than
Whereas
anything.
like Supernatural is kind of like
Everything.
especially
And
like the first season, it was like, let's road trip and visit every single myth in the country, like at one episode at a time, right? Like, um, so and then Secret World takes that and goes to other countries and says, here's the myth in this country,
yeah, here
or
are
at
the
least
myths
their
in
version
South
of it.
Africa. Here are the myths
Yeah,
in Egypt. Here are some of the myths in
Tokyo.
Tokyo, right? Yeah.
Mm. And
Yeah,
I
so
really need to set a section of. I really think the next expansion for the Secret World RPG should be in Iceland.
Right? Yeah, Iceland's got a lot. Yeah.
No, I mean seriously though, we will. We want to do exactly that, is explore those different areas like that and really focus. Like
Mm.
I really want to do North America / the Illuminati is kind of like my next
oh,
goal.
you know what?
Do like that kind of method as I go through it. I have a
You
And of
could
course,
plan.
you got
do
to add Tampa to it.
at Matt.
Right.
Tampa.
At Matt.
Yeah.
Tampa's gonna be sunk. It's fine.
So there
No
were,
great loss there.
I don't know. I don't know if you were aware of when Legends was going to launch, and uh, or when the new content in Legends was going to launch, and they weren't saying where it was going to be. And Tron was working there, and he had like this thing where he was eliminating one place on the globe, like I think every day up until launch or something. It's like,
Mhm.
nope, it's not going to be here. It's not going to be here. And for the longest time, there people would say Tampa, and then I started saying at Matt, and he didn't get it for a while, and then I eventually explained that it's the upside down of Tampa. It's at Matt, just Tampa backwards, and he face palmed really hard. But it was such a meme in the community that
Tampa was such a meme, yeah.
he got
Mhm.
one of the artists to, when your character goes to South Africa with the new content in Legends, the loading screen that comes up shows your plane flight, right? Little red line, and it stops in Tampa. Like he literally had them redraw the line so that your flight in the loading screen goes there and then on to South Africa.
Yeah, Indiana Jones style, yeah, red line
Yeah,
red line airplane, yeah.
that was pretty good.
So yeah, such a meme in the community that right, they're like, nope, you're making a stopover in Tampa. That's what you're doing. Ah, so good.
But what I was gonna say is, another like location that I think of like kind of interesting would be Australia.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It not only because it has its own legends, but you have like that idea where people like flat earthers are like Australia doesn't exist. It's it's a myth, right? Because obviously it can't be there. Earth's flat.
Right.
Actually,
Yeah.
New Zealand, because a lot of people leave it off the map.
Yeah, that one too.
Right, New Zealand, yeah.
But I mean, like legitimately, that like it's a flat earther conspiracy that Australia just doesn't exist. It's just a lie people say. So I find that A, funny because I know people in Australia, and B, is like good fodder for something like a Secret World style. Like, well, what are we gonna do with what? How are we gonna twist that into how Secret World makes sense of that ridiculous shit?
Some stuff is just ridiculous, though. So
That, I mean, fair.
Well, it's one of my
But
it's
I
like
mean,
one of
we
my
do
favorite
have
points
the
of
Hollow Earth. The Hollow Earth is pretty ridiculous.
it's like one of my favorite parts of Moons of Madness is in Moons of Madness when you discover that they're on Mars, but they are acting like they're not on Mars. They're acting like they're in
Antarctica.
Antarctica. And so you find like a script that they're reading and like a green screen background, and it's like, take a look at this penguin over here. Like, oh, my furry friend penguin over here is blah 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 blah. And they're because they don't want to, like, the Orochi is like, no, you're not on Mars. You're in Antarctica. That's where you tell people that you're supposed to be. You're not telling them that you're actually on Mars, on a whole other planet. You are still on Earth, and we're gonna make it out like you guys are all still on Earth. And it's like, I find that part hysterical. That it's like, that's the and people are like, oh, like, we didn't go to the moon. It was done in like a studio, and instead they're like
It's the
on
opposite.
Mars. Yeah, on Mars
You're
doing
on
the
another
studio
planet,
from on the. Oh
pretending to
gosh,
be on Earth.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic. I love it. Yeah.
the conspiracy is actually what you thought was the lie is the truth. The lie is the truth.
The,
Is the lie.
the,
Wait.
the lie is that you think you're on Earth now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you go outside and the sky turns from blue to like purple or some shit. Like, God damn it!
Dang,
I was
nabbit.
fooled the whole time.
You are in a simulation.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the part that I love of Moons of Madness almost the most, is just that, like, because that to me is like the whole silliness behind it, or the whole, everything is true. It's like, well, they're not in Antarctica, they're on Mars. People being like,
You're just
really?
dreaming.
Yeah, they're not in Antarctica, they're on Mars. And it's like, actually they are on Mars. That is true.
I genuinely decided that I want to role play like a crazy person that just keeps trying to eat bees to become
They heard somewhere that how you got
Except
powers was through bees.
Except for you're allergic to them, so anaphylactic shock will eventually solve that problem.
That's okay though, because I have a bandolier of EpiPens. It's fine.
There you go. And that's just having to balance out because the power is too great for you.
And they feel the allergic reaction, and they think that's how it
the
starts.
surge of
What
power.
it's like. That's the surge of
Right,
power.
yeah.
The strangulation you feel as your throat constricts is just
that's part of the process.
And you get that
Yeah.
pounding in your head, and then you hallucinate, and
Yeah. And when you can't breathe anymore and you start to hallucinate, yeah, it's normal.
Yeah, see? Told it. I think it'd be a hilarious character to play.
I think that playing regular people in the secret world is an option people have asked for, and I think we can explore that later, but I felt it was important to start off with the core basic, like you said.
Sure.
We wanted to be we advanced the timeline, but we kept familiar creatures. We advanced the timeline, but we kept familiar abilities. So that was kind of the thing.
Okay, so speaking of that, so in the game canon, you're a bee, but you can have your powers robbed. It happens to us twice in the game, where we get our powers taken away temporarily. Is that something that you have considered or have a mechanic for in the tabletop?
Not in the core book. I don't believe we're dealing with that right now. I think
we
wanted to keep the scope. We're advancing history. We added a few creatures. There's about 5 new ones in there that aren't, part of the secret world as it is.
Okay.
And we wanted to keep it just different enough to, move the timeline forward and add new stuff to it, but not try to cover every concept, because there's just no way we would encapsulate a lot of different ideas there. So we had to keep the very core ideas, and each book as it goes forward is going to advance story, creatures, things that can happen, options to play. I think we should try to advance at least one thing, maybe I'm not making promises here, but like in a category, like say, hey, what did we do in the last book that we could do in this book to give the fans something more that still fits with the lore? If that's playing some kind of alternate set of abilities exploring the world, if that's playing the Orochi, if that's some weird way things like if robbing powers, if that's an option we want to go with. I mean, there's things like that we will want to add as we go.
It makes me think of
it happens in Egypt. You get smoked, and it's funny as they use it. It's always smoke. It's because that's what you do with actual bees, right? Like you pacify them down.
Yeah.
So they haven't said what the special smoke is. Obviously, it's not like normal smoke or whatever, but like
it's special smoke.
But I liked the idea that Funcom went with, where like they use the bee theme to be like you get depowered in much the same way a bee gets depowered.
An actual bee does, yeah.
Yeah. So it happens to you in Egypt, the very first time, and then the most recent content it happens to you again in South Africa. So it is a repeatable thing that has happened, and for whatever reason, the main bad guys, multiple of them have access to that shit for some stupid reason.
It sort of turns into like, a Superman and Kryptonite, sort of like who has access to Kryptonite?
Well, I was thinking of it actually in role playing. It kind of reminds me, like let's say you did account for it in the tabletop at some point. It sort of makes me think of like how you have to deal with werewolves and silver in like Werewolf the Apocalypse or something, where like silver is just a thing you have to be aware of.
Like making like a weapon that is just more effective against bees themselves.
And I think that's kind of when you introduce something like that, it's like part of the reason that the players, their characters, would want to not be so obvious in what they do is if, like, why don't they just go out and take over the world? Well, if you become a threat to everyone will look for ways to eliminate you, and then everyone will find out your weakness, and everybody will be prepared.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to come smoke you.
So,
literally.
Yeah. If that's what works, everybody's going to be doing it. It's like,
they're like, we can't kill you, but boy, can we make your living a hard time. Yeah.
I will. An interesting note in the game, at least, they don't really explain how you get your stuff back in the first interaction, which is obviously like original TSW, like much older. They don't really explain. I guess it's just considered temporary. But in the most recent iteration, where you get smoked and you get like jailed, the guy comes along and blows like a magic powder in your face. It's like an antidote. So, canonly, there's both a smoke that depowers you and something that immediately will,
work against it. Will counter it.
Yeah.
It must be sugar, so you can start making honey. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. Just blow sugar in your face. Here's a powdered donut.
What did say? It's a sprinkler / rain. It just makes us want to go home. Yeah, it's just.
It's pollen. There you go. It's pollen.
Well, yeah, what you do to bees. Yeah.
I do remember because I just did it when I finished the other run, like last week or something. That it was it was sparkly. It was sparkly. It wasn't just like a sand. They added like a sparkle to it.
It was actually glitter.
It was just glitter. Yeah. They're like, now you're fabulous.
now you're a glam secret worlder.
Yeah, you're fabulous again. It is your powers that make you fabulous, so it only makes sense. Ruffin says cocaine.
Cocaine. That would also make you feel very powerful. I don't know if it actually works.
It's all a hallucination. We're all
feel like it works, and that might be all that matters.
Well, guys, thanks for letting me come back in and talk to you, but
of course,
work will call tomorrow, so I guess I should probably take care of that.
Yeah.
I give drugs to patients, and if I give them the wrong drugs, it's bad for them. It's bad for me. So, get some rest.
Oopsies.
Thanks for coming on. Twice.
Oh yeah. Thanks for coming on the show originally, and now, and coming back again. Brandon Verhalen, Star Anvil Studios founder and CEO, Secret World RPG art director. Thank you very much for coming on the show. And yeah, if ever you have anything more you want to say to an audience, to let us know. We're more than happy to do so. Like I said, I said a couple times, but yeah, a rising tide raises all boats, and we want all of this to be successful. And because we just love it, That's really our whole impetus behind it. So thank you for coming on the show, much appreciated, and we'll hope to see you again, man.
Thanks.
Thank
and we'll
you.
talk about that demo play at some point.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
I didn't forget. Have a good night.
Have a good night, man.
Good night.
It will happen.
Yes.
It will happen. I just kept throwing that at him. I was like, "Cause just how cool would it be?" But not only just how cool would it be, but we're in an age now of like, lots of people are doing their like tabletop games.
Twitch streaming tabletop games is really
it's a big thing. It's a real. It's a big thing, and
it makes you able to do it with people that you're not physically able to be next to, which is kind of huge.
And also, people want to see it. There's an audience for it. There's a big audience for it. So my thought was always like, just if you want to showcase the tabletop RPG, you got to showcase it in a way that people want to see it, and that is basically showing watch people play it for an hour or go through an adventure, and they do plan on doing that sort of stuff, but even just to whet people's ideas, just to whet people's appetites for it, have us show us going up against the lurker or something like that, and playing some of the pre-gen characters that they already have made,
just a regular dog, because in my experience from 5e, a regular dog is terrifying. I nearly lost my first character to a regular dog.
At first level, anything can get you.
It's worse if you're a first level sorcerer.
Oh gosh, yeah, you have no hit points.
Because it's even worse than being a wizard. Wizards at least have a book and can do shit. Sorcerers are, because you're innate, are actively screwed. I don't know if it's changed at all, but when I remember doing that in D&D, and it was wow, I guess later on it's cool, but I think if you were trying to min-max, you would never go sorcerer. Wizard's just better. You get to have books that hold the shit for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You could just grab a book and cast some shit. Sorcerers have to internalize that crap, and they make it such a pain in the ass to do. And you can't hold that many. A book can have a bunch of spells. You're a sorcerer. You could have 3 in your head at once or something. It's very, very restrictive. So not only are you a magic class that's physically weak, right? But also your base level spell is worse than the wizard level 1's base level spell.
Yeah,
you're just shit.
I want to say I don't know much about basically I never played one, I never so I don't know much about it, but I think as far as wizards go or as at least wizards or sorcerers or that sort of style of player, it's that their power curve is a lot more parabolic than I don't know if I said that correctly. It's a lot more of a exponential rise than say your warriors or whatnot, which is more of a direct line rise, which is more of a whatnot. That there's they start off very easy to kill and then by the end they're just absolute powerhouses and they can just rule the cosmos basically. But they start off really weak and really and compared to even to many of
sorcerer's worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
The only benefit is you don't need books, right? That technically is the Achilles heel of a wizard, is if you just burn his book, he's kind of screwed. So it's you have some benefits, but
or even stealing his books or something
the sorcerer has more self-sufficiency, I guess, but like they really made you. I think over aggressively made you pay for it. They were like, no, don't be a sorcerer. We don't want you to.
Oh yes, but sort of their whole thing was that I don't think they were necessarily relative balance. I want to say
level 1 spell, blow out a candle. Level 3 spell, blow a person through a wall.
Yeah. It's sort of like
no, that's still not accurate. It's like level 30 would be blow a person through a wall.
It's like
level 3 would be
relative. Like I don't know. Actually,
I know what you mean. The So yeah, like all your warrior guys start out with a bunch, like because they're just big dudes and they hit things, so they're strong. So like
they got swords and shit. Yeah.
Although to be fair, I think we had some big guys, and we still basically our whole party almost got slaughtered by like 3 dogs.
Yeah,
like 3 base level dogs just about obliterated us. We had like 3 people on the ground, 0 hit points.
You're just a normal dude. You're just a normal dude. You get attacked by a dog. Guess what? If it's a big dog, you're gonna end up hurting.
Yeah, but hopefully you shouldn't be dead. Like Jesus Christ. I guess
depends on the dogs and how aggressive they are, man.
Yeah. Also, I think, and this is just a personal opinion, I think people freak out when they get attacked. Right? Like
yeah.
Not that animals aren't like crazy viciously strong because you don't expect them to be for their size, but also most people aren't like most people aren't prepared to like do something about it.
Yeah, they're not generally prepared to be attacked by a animal.
Bomber, have a good night, Bomber.
Have a good night, Bomber. Actually, yeah, it's starting to get a little late.
Normal NPC groundhog slaughtered entire party. Well, that's because it saw its shadow, you see.
TPK, man.
It said winter is coming and then decided to kill everybody.
What was it this past Groundhog's Day? Was it Canada? This past Groundhog's Day, there was they went to go check on the Canadian groundhog to see if it saw its shadow, and it was just dead. Something weird happened with that.
Oh my god!
like the official
it's the end times.
The official groundhog that they use to do the Groundhog's Day stuff, and they looked at it, and they're like, it died overnight. Like that's it's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah. Anyway, agents, this has been the 0 Point Report, strain 77-SAS. You can catch us recording live. I'm going to say it, even though who knows if it's actually going to happen. You can catch us recording live every first and third Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time here in the 0 Point Report Twitch channel, where you can also join us and chat with us while we do the show live, or download our show wherever podcasts are found so you can listen to us on the go. Jimmy, where can we find you online?
Linktree/Jimmy the Rabbit. You can find all my billion places I'm at.
There you go. A link tree. Two-Ton Waffle, where can we find you online?
You can find me at twotonwaffle.com. I have my links to all the places I go to. I'm at Mastodon.
Y'all are getting fancy now.
Yeah. We're getting
but
fancy
me,
here.
You gotta up your game there. So.
I really do. But me, I'm Ocho, and you can find me both on Twitter and here on Twitch at Big Mikey Ocho. And again, we want to thank Brandon and Ross and Scrib for coming on the show tonight. They're awesome. Go support their stuff. Support any Secret World stuff that you see. Is anyone streaming Secret World? Go check them out. Go give them some support. Go give them some love. We have one of the best communities out there, and we know it, and we should show it more. So anyway, you can get in touch with us by engaging with the show on Twitter at 0 Point Report, checking out previous shows on our YouTube channel, and joining us on our Discord server, both named the 0 Point Report. So from all of us here at the 0 Point Report, we want to thank you for tuning in and wish you all the best from the Secret World. Have a great night, everybody, and see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.